topic. But those people who want to actually come to our town hall, Trey will put down on there how you can attend our town hall. You can even RSVP. The advantage you have is you get to ask questions and you get to interact with other people. You get to meet people from throughout the world. You get connected. But to a background for those of you who are new, you've seen some of the videos. Our movement started out of the inequity we saw in the US Senate race in 2020. And that's where we exposed the fact that the government of the United States, in fact, all the governments have created a backdoor portal into all the social media companies. We were the ones who exposed the realities of the real issues with election fraud. We're the ones who created the entire movement against Fauci. We're the ones who saved hundreds of millions of people's lives on giving them actual protocols to boost their immune system. So whoever is out there, understand that we've actually delivered, and we can keep going on our list of our accomplishments. 500 million people know about our movement. We've created a global movement of bottoms up. When I mean bottoms up, I mean actual people, and I'm going to share with you some of their videos, who come bottoms up. They're not grifters. They're not fakers like Kennedy or Stein or Trump or all these people. These people do not give a fuck about you. They are out to kill you. And if you look at the data, this is no hyperbole. But our movement is here, and we're not going away, and we've explosively grown. Our movement now is on the ballot in nearly every state except 4, and all of that was done bottoms up by people. So I want to welcome everyone. You are with a group of people who are actually making history and have made history. So as a part of this, what I want to do is I want to share with you my Twitter feed. Trey, can you see that? Everyone can see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. So this is my Twitter feed, and I do a lot of tweeting, and then from this we send it out everywhere. But you can see this is what's going live right now as we're talking here. Okay. So I post. So one of the things that's happened is, what is our ads for our campaign? Do we have are we making, by the way, every ad we do is done by me or our people. Our advertising is not some Madison Avenue type stuff where we're sitting behind and we're spending, $50 million. That's where they're raising all this money. By the way, they raised close to $15 billion. Think about the amount of money that Trump and Harris have raised. And a lot of that is a money laundering operation. So here is a video. I think I have to make sure the audio's on. 1 second. Trey, if I play this, will you hear the audio too? Yes? Okay. So I have to put the audio on. And let me share it here. Okay. So I want to share this audio. This is Matt Stoneman, who's one of our co-leaders with Nicholas Lupo in Kentucky and Tennessee. So we asked people to say, who are you? Why are you going to vote for us? And this is our advertising, okay? So you're hearing from people who went through their journey and they decided to vote for us. So let me bring up Matt's tweet here, if I can bring this up. And let me start it here. I think I have to turn on the volume here.
And I just wanted to make my endorsement for Shiva. Hey, my name's Matt Stoneman. I'm out here, just got done working, sealing a driveway. And I just wanted to make my endorsement for Dr.SHIVA for president, Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. And the reason I wanted to make this endorsement is because I'm making a principled stand this election. I've never voted before because I've always thought that these elections are rigged and manufactured, but it's become way more ever present and noticeable now that joining Dr. Shiva's movement. It doesn't matter if you vote for Kamala or if you vote for Trump. You're both voting for the decrease of your lifespan and the increase of cost of living. You're going to vote for the same economic policy, which is print more money. You're going to vote for the same foreign policy, which is support Israel. No matter what they choose to do, no matter what principles you stand by, it's completely okay because it's Israel. One of the main things that this movement, beyond just voting for Dr. Shiva, is the movement of truth, freedom, and health, is taught me something very valuable. A lot of history, specifically that I was raised to think that if you want to change the world, you got to get a lawyer or a politician. You got to vote or you got to get a lawsuit. But actually, there's something in history that was not taught to us on purpose. And that is that a bottoms up movement is the only thing that ever got children out of the workforce, got the 40-hour workday. They got our infrastructure, our clean water, all the plumbing and sanitation. These are things that were brought up by a bottoms up movement. That is what the history does not teach us today. Another thing history does not teach us today is systems. What is a system? The system, everyone says, is corrupt, but what is a system? So we learned that at Truth Freedom Health. What is a system? And in order to change a system, you have to learn what it is first. So those are just a few reasons why I'm endorsing Dr. Shiva for president. And I hope this message finds you well. And I'm done working, so it's time to go get some juice and some nice food and get back to my day. Y'all have a good day.
Right, that's our ad. Thank you. That's our ad. We spent about, we spent nothing on it. Okay. Trump and Harris would have probably spent about
Stoneman.
50 million bucks on it.
Got done working, sealing a driveway.
Let me stop this here.
I want to make my endorsement for Dr. Shiva for
Trump and Harris have to go work at McDonald's. Trump's got to go work at McDonald's. The fucking guy's never worked a day in his fucking life. Okay. But he's got to go work at McDonald's and act like he's working, and then probably spent 50 million bucks, 10 million bucks on security. And then it turns out everything was dress rehearsed. Who would come, who would talk to him, everything. I don't think Matt even dress rehearsed that. Okay. So just understand, this is a real movement. Okay. It's not a bunch of bullshitters, okay, who are out to bullshit you. So that's just one. And if you go down my Twitter feed, you'll see this is a guy who was the campaign manager for Jesse Ventura when he ran with Cynthia McKinney, a Black PhD woman in Congress, who's the one who was thrown out of Congress for exposing Israel. Well, Jill Stein threw Cynthia McKinney, a Black woman, out of the Green Party because Cynthia McKinney said Israel may have been behind 9/11. That's Jill fucking Stein, a goddamn racist Zionist. Well, William Pounds, Rex Stream, he's written an article saying Jill Stein's 2008 predecessor won't support her in 2024. That's Cynthia McKinney. So Jill Stein is the nouveau Democratic Party. Remember what I said, the establishment always has two heads, the obvious establishment and the not so obvious. We chopped off one of their big heads, which was Kennedy. He ran scurrying over to Trump. So they had to create a new NSOE. That's Jill Stein. We have to call her Jill Stein, okay? Because she's a racist, she's a Zionist, and don't let her fool you. She doesn't want to end Zionism, occupation of the United States. She just wants to talk about ceasefire now, little tweaks, but she's a fucking Zionist. Here's Ryan DiNicola. He's saying you're going to find Dr. Shiva on every block in the United States. Listen to his message. So, and the reason he's saying that is because someone posted this, okay? Our volunteers, this is our advertising campaign. We're not spending $1 billion. This is put in a little plastic bag, our cards, okay? This is what working people do. Bottoms up, ingenuity, okay? So this reaches people all over the world. And in fact, if you go here, this is some random person who's seeing this and they're saying, is this you? All right. This is, now I can write a thesis on this called transmedia marketing. Okay. But that's what we're doing. Someone says, this is the top reason I'm voting for Be Enslaved, replying back to someone at the GOP. And someone says the pro-Israel ticket. Okay. And someone says, this is what I'm voting. So this is, none of this is we're paying for. Unpaid, bottoms up advertising. Here's someone else, Dr. Shiva, you got my vote in Idaho, okay? And we'll come back to her. Okay, so this is someone in Iowa, and we'll play her video, okay? And so we just put this up there, okay? And the part of what we want to talk about is ignorant people say, you can't win this election. You can't be president, okay? We're going to talk about that. This is an idiot who said, V.A. Shiva argues that 14th Amendment equal protection clause means citizens who are not born in the United States can be POTUS. What do you think? So I wrote back, this statement on natural born reveals a level of ignorance bred into the so-called educated people. It is wrong for these reasons. One, natural born is never defined. Two, many people who are natural born are not born on U.S. soil. Equal protection clause made all citizens equal, not quote unquote sort of equal. Four, you can adopt a kid in Africa, bring them to the US, and they are natural born and can run for president. Ted Cruz and John McCain are natural born, but not born in the United States. The Marquis de Lafayette and all of his heirs were made natural born, even though he was born in France. All citizens are equal. I could keep going. The bottom line is I can run and be president. Okay. So our movement is educating ignorant people like this, and they don't know what to do. They just shut the fuck up after we put this out there. Here is a food industry worker, Kimberly Weipert, who worked her butt off to get us on the ballot with Crystal and others in Iowa. And she has a simple reason for endorsing Dr.SHIVA. She says she's not a Zionist cocksucker. And she's saying, vote or write in Dr.SHIVA and stop being a Zionist cocksucker. So let me play you her. Again, this was a very, very expensive endorsement. We spent a lot of money on this kind of advertising. Billions were spent on this, right? Billions and billions of dollars, okay? That's where we spend our money. We're spending our money on this kind of stuff, okay? So let me share with you Kim Weipert's endorsement here. Very simple stuff, but it's hard hitting. So let me start hers. I got to go back. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Kim Weipert from Iowa. I work in the food industry. Just wanted to relay a message that Trump and Harris don't give a fuck about you guys, and don't be a Zionist cocksucker and vote in Dr.SHIVA and Crystal Ellis. Hello, I'm Kim Weipert.
Very simple message. It gets to the point, but Kim did that out in Iowa. So here's Representative Thomas Massie. He's a token constitutionalist, some of you may know. And everyone says, oh, Tom Massie. So Massie put this tweet up there. It goes, Israel insists on destroying civilian targets in Lebanon. Let them buy and build their own weapons. American taxpayers should not be funding this. And he's recently started speaking out against this. I said, Rep. Tom Massie, who, by the way, went to MIT with me, I says just enough to present himself as anti-establishment, but remains in the AIPAC-ruled Zionist cocksucking GOP. If he is anti-Zionist and truly against genocide, he should endorse me for president. Everyone is crossing party lines. Will he walk the talk? That's what you guys should do. Go to these people. We're doing anti-Zionist posts. Why aren't you endorsing Dr.SHIVA? So that's why I put it up to Massie. Probably be crickets. I'm writing your name in for president. This is a guy who has a reasonable number of followers, close to 20,000 followers, and he's got 102,000 views on this. See, when others take it out, it's hard for them to shadow ban. So Thomas Massie put this, and this guy, Tony Montana, said, I'm writing it in your name. Again, these are people who are coming to our side, watching the reality. Someone else, vote Be Enslaved for president. Here's a nice one where someone is actually voting for us. Okay, you can see it. We're on the ballot, guys. There's Kim Singh again. You've seen this. And this is a nice one someone shared with us. You can see this. Pretty much says it all. I think it's good to probably crank this up. People think it's raining. It's actually Trump pissing on you, okay? Let's see. So there's another guy called Michael Tracy. He's like a liberal writer, right? He attacks Kamala Harris. He does his, attacks the Uniparty. And I reached out to Michael a lot of times, and he's absolutely silent. So he says, Kamala is asked to distinguish her policy on Israel from that of Trump. Blows right past the question and goes on an extended soliloquy about Hitler, Kim Jong-un. Absolutely parody of the cloistered elite liberalism. Well, he says that about her, but he will not talk about us. And he claims he's an investigative journalist, this guy. I said, Michael, I like you. However, you too behave as a cloistered elite liberal. By the very fact that you don't say a peep about my running for president, the only anti-Zionist who's on the ballot, either listed or write-in with bona fide electors in nearly every state except 4. All right? So we're calling to carpet these people who claim that they're anti-Zionist, okay? They know we're running, but they don't take any action. It's like they're armchair, fighters. Here's Kinar all the way in Norway putting out our stuff, okay? You guys, if you haven't seen, we'll play the campaign video before we end, and again, done in-house. Here is a grandmother, Rebecca Mahopoulos, who's our national coordinator. And Rebecca never, ever cursed. Did she, Crystal? Rebecca was one of the, I don't know what's happened,
Right.
but, Crystal, am I right? Are you there?
I'm
Yeah,
Rebecca.
she doesn't get too excited usually.
Yeah, Crystal, yeah, she doesn't get, but here's Rebecca's, again, this is our $100 million ad. Here's Rebecca. Here we go.
I'm Rebecca from Ohio, and I'm writing in Dr. Shiva and Crystal Ellis for president. The policies of the left and the right have given us a higher cost of living and a shorter lifespan. So don't be a schmuck or you're going to get fucked. Write in Dr. Shiva.
All right, there you go. So a very simple ad. There was no, focus groups on that. It just gets to the point. All right. We just get to the point here. Let's go to the next one here. Where are we here? I gotta go back here. Right. All right, so let me go back to this. Can you guys see this, Crystal? Yes?
Yep, I got it.
All right. This is a very nice one. This is our team in Ohio put this up. They literally went on the street. I mean, this is all bottoms up again, right? This was $1 billion. This was another $1 billion we spent on this ad. So let me bring this up. Hopefully you guys can all see it.
Every inch of it is my kind of town, Chicago, yeah. Yeah, my kind of town, Chicago, yeah. Chicago, yeah.
There you go. They did do a shot from the front.
Every inch of it is.
This was a lot of work to do this, and this is what they put up there. Millions of people saw this. Don't be a Zionist cocksucker. Vote right in Dr. Shiva. Again, organic. People made their own banners. There's no one directing them to this. They're taking the core message out on their own. Another thing, we want to get this point out there, which we talk about more. You're wasting your vote. People said, oh, you're going to waste your vote by voting for Dr. Shiva. No, the opposite is true. You are wasting your vote by voting for them. Trump or Harris or Stein are all Zionists. They've been killing you since 1970. And this is the reality of the data we share. Lifespan is going down. Cost of living is going up. These people want to kill you. Just look at this data. It's the reality. So why would you keep voting for any of these people? You must be insane. You must want to be an abuse victim. And this is a message we're getting out there. And it's resonating with those people who want to elevate their consciousness. Again, you can see these are random people who we don't know. This guy's like, which is why I wrote it in Dr. Shiva. I've known Trump has no business being POTUS since 2015, simply due to his being owned and his fealty to Israel. So these are random people finding our material because they saw something Ken Glenn posted, and they're finding it, right? So this is, when we say bottoms up, this is what bottoms up looks like. We have all of our states doing their own live streams. California did one. Arizona did one. But I encourage you guys to go through it. This is a woman, Lebanese background. And she said, this is why I'm voting for Be Enslaved. We'll be sending a message. Horrifying scenes in Beirut as Israel levels entire civilian buildings. She said, I lost friends in Lebanon. The village across my home was demolished. My choice is Dr. Shiva. I vote my conscience. Enough with maniac Netanyahu and genocide. All right. Again, we are on the ballot here in Massachusetts. People voting for us. We're not prompting these people. We're not paying these people. These people are coming on their own. Okay. This guy saying, wow, Dr. Shiva, you flipped the great Mike Adams. Unbelievable. Only you could do that. I hope more people read the history and follow. Carl Friedman, this is interesting. I've never come across a profile on Twitter or X that is so shadow banned as yours. There's some serious manipulation going on to censor you. They fear you keep bleeding from Dr. Shiva. And this woman, the same one, the Lebanese American, so my niece, her husband, and I, along with others I spoke to, are voting for Shiva for all the right reasons. This guy is one of these stupid idiots. He goes, dude, you were born in India. You cannot become president. Why do you keep fooling these naive, innocent white people? I said, some people claiming to be American are very anti-American. Equal protection means all US citizens are equal. This fool likely failed at math and doesn't understand equal. Equal means equal, not sort of equal. As a US citizen, I can run and be president, period. I'd like to play you Bosin, computer scientist Bosin Nega in Washington State endorsed Dr. Shiva. So let me play you Bosins here. Bosin is our Northwest national leader. And let's bring up Bosins here.
Hi, my name is Bosin Nega, and I live in Seattle, Washington. Just over a year ago in the summer of 2023, I was sick of the false promises I heard from the politicians I saw promoted on the news. I was looking for a leader who stood for the American people, who was one of us, not a servant of the elites. Then I discovered Dr. Shiva, and he taught me about the systems dynamics the elites use to confuse us and get us to support their chosen heroes, both on the left and the right. People who talk a big game about all the good they'll do for you, but then you see their contradictions. You learn that they're Zionists who try to divide us and turn us against each other, bucketing us into pro and anti on every issue, preventing us from seeing how a systems approach reveals real solutions we can agree on. Dr. Shiva is a systems scientist with real solutions. He's the only anti-Zionist candidate running for office. I decided to save myself and start my self-determination by helping to get one of us on the ballot. Please save yourself and vote or write in Dr. Shiva for US president.
All right. Thanks, Bosin. So again, that was another $50 million ad campaign we did there. So what I want to talk about, and these are people from all over the world. This is a guy out in England. He says to all US followers, please don't waste your time. Don't waste your US presidential election votes in the US election 2024. The only worthy person you vote on November 5th is Be Enslaved. Please forward this message to all your contacts, friends, family in the US. Let's get humanity a win. All right. So what I want to talk about is policies. And I could keep going. So I recommend you guys go through this. It's very inspiring. It's not perfectly lit. There's no orange makeup here, right? There's no wigs, right? There's no, lighting. These things don't take, infinite time to do. By the way, Bob Workman's here. Bob, your video actually got close to 30,000 views. Okay, we'll bring Bob's up. And Bob's literally at a work site. He's a electrobiologist, goes into people's homes, and hard things, it's hard for them to shadow ban others because they have these shadow banning algorithms. So this is our, and we'll play Jonathan Nicholas's, and we have many, many more coming. So when I say this is a bottoms up campaign, these ads, they cannot match. Okay? They cannot match our advertising. It's bottoms up, it's organic, it's real. It's not overproduced, acted out a billion times with 50 directors, okay? So we want to talk about policies, and then we wanted to open up to questions. So what would we do? What would our movement, what would I do as president? What would we do? Okay? So what would we do? So here's an idiot called Michael Ortiz. Why don't you try to run for another position rather than president? Okay, Trump has got the presidency. So I'm glad you're here, Michael, because you're going to learn something if you want to learn. Or you may want to keep sucking Trump's Zionist cock. Okay, sorry to say that, but we don't want to waste time convincing you, but hopefully you will learn and we'll give you an opportunity to talk, okay? Because the reality is that your ignorance comes from a lack of understanding of what a movement is, and hopefully you'll learn that tonight. Why are you calling me an idiot? Because you are an idiot, okay? I'm sorry, as a teacher, you have to smack people upside the head if they say 2 + 2 is 9, okay? We don't take kindly to idiocracy, okay? We're not here to coddle you. You're a grown man, and you're making very stupid statements. So that's a reaction that you'll get here. We're not here to convince you, okay? We're here to open your eyes, and you may not get it from the very harsh statements I'm getting, you probably will run away, but 3 years from now, you'll probably come back. So you're better off just taking it and taking the bitter pill and learning now. So let's talk about our policies, okay? What are our policies? So we put them up here, okay? So let's start with these, okay? Let me start with them from this standpoint. Number one, everyone needs to understand the First Amendment is one of the most important elements that distinguishes the United States. Does everyone understand that? Other countries do not have the First Amendment. Very important. Now, the First Amendment is not only the freedom of speech, it's a freedom of association, it's a freedom of religion. It's a number of very, very powerful freedoms. The First Amendment is what makes America what America is. Okay? The First Amendment was made real, not just by the Second Amendment, by something even more powerful, which probably because of my love of communication and as a technologist, I was able to really articulate and identify. I don't think anyone else has really identified that was the United States Postal Service. So one of our first policies is we will completely destroy the cybersecurity infrastructure security agencies' infrastructure that they've created to censor all Americans by having a backdoor portal into all social media companies. And that was done by Trump on November 16th, 2018, and every member of Congress. On November 16, 2018, every member of Congress voted unanimously. Every senator, unanimous consent, and Trump signed it into law. What is the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency? It is a infrastructure. It is the agency which came out of Homeland Security, which created the infrastructure that we discovered in 2020, the backdoor infrastructure into every social media company, and it has not been dismantled. So at the heart of it is, if you truly get what the First Amendment is, one of the important elements of the First Amendment was free speech. But the founders wanted free speech to also equal free reach. Elon Musk and the Zionist ADL says free speech does not equal free reach. So how did the founders do this? When they created the Postal Service, they made it very inexpensive for any American to be able to send a letter, a parcel to every other American. And the Postal Service doesn't get any credit. It was the actual technology infrastructure that manifested, that made flesh of the First Amendment. And the Postal Service was set up as a public infrastructure. We, the people, owned the Postal Service. It was a quasi-government organization. Quite an interesting innovation by Benjamin Franklin. And the goal was that if I wanted to send a letter to Bob, or Bob wanted to send something to Pushpa, or to Lashesh Bella, or to Jason, we could all send a letter, communication. And they set up all these postal offices all over the country, decentralized. And it is quite amazing, even now, you send a letter, how beautifully it arrives at the other end. But the other thing that the Postal Service did was they also created a police force, an inspector general's office, that they monitored their own postal people, that if anyone opened a letter, went through a letter, 22-year sentence in prison. Up until 1970, 70% of the letters through the Postal Service were political mail, newsletters, 70%. Okay? So the Postal Service was a bulwark of freedom. It enabled freedom to take place. In 1997, email volume overtook postal mail volume. As the inventor of email, I met with the Postal Service executives in 1997. I said, you guys are missing a very important aspect of the First Amendment. You must create a public version of email. It cannot be owned by Hotmail and Yahoo and Gmail. And if it's under your umbrella, then guess what? the First Amendment will be protected because no one can open up an email and read it. They thought I was nuts. Oh, you're a 29-year-old kid. What do you know? Get on your way. I think I've shared this. And look what's happened. Social media's come. We don't own our communications anymore. They have outsourced the public infrastructure to private companies so they can launder censorship. Let me repeat that again. The government of we the people has outsourced public infrastructure to private companies in an unholy alliance so they can surveil, monitor, and silence us through a private company. Because why? A private company also has First Amendment rights. So when a private company like Twitter throws me off, if it wasn't done with government telling them to do so, Twitter can say we didn't do it. I mean, government can say Twitter did it. Because Twitter has First Amendment rights. You get it? It's called laundering censorship. The government now has outsourced all of satellite communication to a doofus called Elon Musk. 70% of the satellites in the air are owned by him, a private company. And government just gave him a $2 billion grant to surveil and spy. Do you guys understand what's going on? Now, which other candidate is even talking about this and is able to make you understand this? No one. The First Amendment was destroyed on November 16th, 2018 by Donald fucking Trump. And Elon fucking doofus ass Musk is a fucking Mossad CIA agent. Everything he owns and touches is outsourced public infrastructure from the government to him. Space? Got a $7 billion grant minimum and another $2 billion. Twitter, Section 230 immunity. It's a behest of government. Tesla is a surveillance vehicle. Have you ever been in a Tesla? It's like you're walking around in your laptop. That's what's going on, guys. And so we're saying that CISA, November 16, 2018, must be repealed if we are to have the First Amendment. No one else is talking about this except me. And I was the one who was a victim of that first on September 24th, 2020, when they threw me off Twitter for exposing the election fraud. Who did it? The state of Massachusetts. And I won that federal lawsuit in federal court, which fucker Carlson and Glenn Greenwald hid. You see, no one's coming to help us, guys. Number one, we do not have the First Amendment. Understand that. It's gone when you outsource public infrastructure to private companies. All right, so that's one of our important policies. Let's go to the next one. The next important one to understand is, by the way, this goes into mesh networks. Well, and I'll talk about mesh networks. If you look at the Postal Service, it's a network. It's a physical network. So what I've proposed is, all these idiots talk about blockchain, blockchain. We have so much decentralization, blockchain, Dr. Shiva. Really? Who runs the fucking blockchain? Who owns the infrastructure on which the blockchain is sitting on top of? Well, these retards don't even talk about that because they just heard buzzword blockchain, crypto. It's like a bunch of morons. If I have any type of communications that's taking place, a la the blockchain, where is that communication going through? It's going through 4 telecommunications companies: Vodafone, AT&T, T-Mobile, and a few others, right? So if I'm communicating with Matt and they don't like me, you know what? You can fuck up my communication. You deny me any network access. Do you understand how easily they can do that? 4 major telecommunications, or 5, are controlling. They own the pipes, they own the fiber, they physically own the actual infrastructure. The Postal Service is owned by us. So what's the equivalent? Well, the technology is out there called mesh networks. And I've been talking about this for a long time, where every one of us becomes a node on the network. It was what the true internet was supposed to be. And in fact, I'd propose the physical locations of the Postal Service should have servers, and it's a people's network. Very much like the US Postal Service. Ronald Reagan, when he came into office, he outsourced the physical postal mail service to DHL and FedEx, two of his buddies who donated money to him. So we outsource physical mail to private companies. Where is the public infrastructure for us, we the people? We don't have it. So you can be cut off anytime. You do the wrong fucking thing, they don't like you, they quote unquote will shadow ban you. All right? Again, who is explaining this? None of them. Okay? Yes. So Michael, you nailed it. Mesh networks are humans owning the internet. Yes, they privatized it. And Trump is a motherfucker who did this. They've destroyed the spirit of what the internet was supposed to be, a true public infrastructure. Okay? So we got to reset it. Those are the first things I'll do. The Postal Service will become a public infrastructure offering public email, public social media, and public physical access. That's how we preserve the First Amendment, period, period, period. Because you know what happens? If the government opens a letter, opens your email, touches your social media, you have the right to sue the government for violating the First Amendment. You don't have that right anymore when Facebook opens up your things and bans you. You guys get what I'm saying? We are so fucked right now. And Elon Musk, that dirtbag, is out there saying that free speech, I'm a free speech guy. These are two very important policies that only our movement can deliver because we understand what the fuck is going on. All right. So without the First Amendment, you're screwed, okay? Let's talk about foreign policy. I've told this to everyone, please write this down. You can draw two circles and connect them. Foreign policy and domestic economic policy are like two Siamese twins. Foreign policy and economic policy are two Siamese, they're connected at the hip. You cannot talk about foreign policy without talking about domestic policy. Well, the Zionists control the banking system in the United States, they control the Fed, and they control the Treasury. And the Zionists are incentivized to print fucking money. And when you print money, what happens? Cost of living goes up for all of us. But they know when money printing is going to come up. They know when to buy low and sell high. So during the pandemic, Trump printed $8.2 trillion. And 600 billionaires, including the doofus Elon doofus Musk, who was nowhere near being a 200 billionaire, that's when he made $200 billion. That's when he became the wealthiest guy. How did that happen? 600 billionaires during the pandemic got $2.3 trillion of that 8.2 trillion. It was a transfer of fucking wealth. They printed money and they gave it to their friends. So they print money. And why can they print money? Follow this through very carefully. They can print money and force the rest of the world to use the US currency for one reason, not because of some genius innovation. It's because of aircraft carriers, B-52 bombers, etc. It's like you take a fucking gun and you shove it down someone's throat and you say, it's like a mobster. You will fucking use my dollar. What's behind the dollar? Shut the fuck up. You are going to use my dollar. I don't give a fuck what's behind it. You will use it. So, and that's called reserve currency status. The US is able to maintain reserve currency status by not any innovation, not gold, by the end of a shotgun. That's what's going on. So once you understand this, you recognize why the outlaw state known as Israel, Zionism, and the banking system are so well connected. They're connected at the hip. You'll also understand why Wilbur Ross, the head of the Secretary of Commerce under Trump, Go look at what he was in 1990s. He was the president of the debt financing bank for the Rothschilds. Banker. He's the one who came and saved Trump. Trump was taking 15% loans to run and went bankrupt running casinos in Atlantic City. By the way, if you talk to anyone who has any intelligence, casinos are where money laundering takes place. Okay? People take money, they get their chips, and they take their money. It's quite interesting. Okay? Most of the casinos are money laundering operations. That's what Trump was doing. Casinos are money laundering operations. For high rollers, that's what they do. Go ask people what happens in Macau, how Chinese businessmen go to Macau and they money launder their money. So Trump was money laundering. Casinos are money laundering operations. He went, quote unquote, supposedly out of business. It was Wilbur Ross who came saved Trump. It was Wilbur Ross and the Rothschilds that put him on a trajectory to be president. This is all very well organized. So understand that the printing of money cannot be done with the United States being reserve currency, and the reserve currency status can only be done if the United States is weaponized and can go fuck with everyone else. And that is the purpose of Israel. Israel exists to ensure reserve currency status. And in return for that, the Zionists demand that they own the United States so they can print. You see, that's a feedback system. So they can keep printing money. This is how Jared Kushner got a $2 billion loan. Jared Kushner wants to be a trillionaire. So the goal right now is to create greater Israel. Beyond Israel to Gaza, to Iraq, etc. Jared Kushner has already talked about building beautiful, land, hotels along Gaza. And as they invade southern Lebanon, they're actually starting to sell the land. You see, for Jared Kushner, genocide is a way to buy real estate with no money down. I think that's what they're doing. So foreign policy and economic policy are tied at the hip. Some people say, let's talk about foreign policy. No, you got to talk about foreign policy and economic policy together. Now, that's a systems thinking, which is what our movement teaches people. So all of you are new, go to truthfreedomhealth.com, become a warrior scholar, and get on the ground and get involved right away. Because we teach you how to think, how to fight. So how do we stop this? Well, we must do something very simple. We must stop all aid to Israel. Pull all those 50,000 troops. I don't know if you know, 50,000 troops are now in the Middle East. We just gave 3 THAAD systems to Israel with 5,000 US people manning those systems. Quite extraordinary what's going on. So they can go fuck up Iran. And by fucking up Iran, they're going to pull in Russia. The goal is to have Russia weakened by fighting a 2-front war in the Middle East and in Ukraine. Because why? Because these Zionist cocksuckers, and they planned this out in 1978, they want to take the $75 trillion of natural resources in Russia and hack it up. And in 1978, Zbigniew Brzezinski laid out an actual plan. It's fully documented. We want to split Russia into the Eurasia piece, Siberia in the middle, and Far East. 25 trillion apiece. So they're going to invest $1 trillion, and if they can get even 10% of Russia, it's a pretty big return, 700% return. That's what's going on. So what would a Dr.SHIVA, a Truth Freedom Health presidency do? Number 1, pull the plug on Israel. Investigate every fucking congressperson by the DOJ who got money from AIPAC and start investigations. Are they traitors according to the US code? Who are they actually serving? That's what we, the people, need to do. Who are these fucking people serving? They're surely not serving us, because they gave Israel a check for $18 billion. And in return, Israel is going to confiscate property of poor people, commit genocide, and they're going to return that back in so many ways we don't even know. I mean, these people are very clever. You and I will never know how they laundered the money back to these people. So we as the American people are totally being fucked. So which president is saying that he will completely cut all aid to Israel? All of it. Me. Should we recognize Israel as a state? No fucking way. Israel does not have a right to exist. It's an outlaw fucking state. Period. There's no, you know, when it comes to Zionism, you have to be a 1 or a 0. There's no gray area. So, number one, cut all aid to Israel. Investigate all these politicians who got aid from AIPAC, and you know, for being a traitor, and then Congress should do that. And the third thing we need to do is end the Fed, which is obvious. The Federal Reserve, interconnection with the Treasury Department, interconnection is one big fucking clusterfuck. Money has no value. And then finally, as a part of the foreign policy, which is the domestic policies, end all these imperialist wars, pull out of all these military bases, and we should put enough, all that military might should be used to defend our borders, period. And let's use it to drive innovation in this country, build infrastructure in this country. Okay? Many of you know $5.2 billion got sent to Israel, while in North Carolina, all those devastated victims of Helena only got $180 million. $180 million. So we have to ask, what are you talking about? You can't win, Dr. Shiva. Well, you're fucking losing voting for these guys. You're a fucking loser. You have to vote for me and write us in and support our movement if you care about yourself. But if you want to be a dumb fuck, keep voting for them. And that's the way you have to speak to people. If you want to be a dumb fuck, keep voting for Harris or Trump. They just both suck Zionist cock. They just may do it in different ways, but that's what they do. They're not fighting for you. So that's our foreign policy and our economic policy, okay? I believe completely, and this is gonna, some of you may, and I have to explain this, no personal income tax. It should be completely gone. However, you have a very high corporate tax. During the 1930s and 1950s, 60s, when the US grew, I don't know if you know, the corporate tax was like 50%. Let me explain why you need a high corporate tax. When you have a corporation, the way the laws are set up now, you are incentivized to not have your company in the United States. Move it to Ireland, move it here. And that was all done by John Kennedy. John Kennedy enabled corporations to funnel money. In fact, Ireland is one of the places that Apple is. If you have a high corporate tax, guess what happens? I, as an owner of a company, let's say I made 50 million in revenue and I have only 10 million in expenses, right? And I have 40 million profit. Now I got to pay pretty high corporate tax. What am I going to do? Hey, I may pay myself more. I may pay my employees more. I may expand. I may invest in the growth of my, because if you're making that kind of fucking money, you should grow your company. So, but you can even pay yourself more. You don't have to pay any tax. And when people have more money, they're going to spend more money. You see, they're going to drive innovation. They're going to drive growth. But what we're doing now with the, we shouldn't, the corporate tax is way too low. It's been high as under Eisenhower's era, but no income tax, no personal income tax. And it may seem counterintuitive, but when you work it out, people get more money in their hands, big time. And people who are creating stuff like Apple, I mean, they're making so much fucking money head over heels during the pandemic, right? Or Costco. Well, you're going to get taxed high or pay your employees more. Expand infrastructure, improve local neighborhoods, which help you build your companies. So that's one of the fundamental things that actually during the 1920 to 1970, when the United States grew, the corporate tax was quite high. But I say no personal income tax, none. Next thing that I want to talk about is education. So you notice I have here no tenure in federally funded universities. And universities should co-sign student loans. Let me talk to you about this, okay? Let's say you have a son or daughter, okay? Crystal, you have Trey, and let's say Crystal decides to send Trey to college. Now you have to just understand, there was a time in American history, not everyone went to college. People went and got a skill. They learn how to be a nurse or a plumber or an engineer. They actually learned a skill. Somewhere around the 70s, people said, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. So universities, which are, by the way, a front, most of the universities nowadays are investment companies. They take the tuition, they hire investment bankers, and they invest on Wall Street. Harvard, for example, grew its endowment by several billion, and they paid their investment group, five people, $56 million. So how are they doing this? You decide to go to college. Crystal's going to have to, let's say, take a $150K loan, right? Let's say, and she takes it for her son, and that's for tuition and board. Well, that money is written to the college. The college takes most of that money and starts investing it in what's called the endowment. Let's say, your son or daughter, and by the way, they don't give any advice to your son or daughter decides, I'm going to get a degree in aardvark transgenderism, a historical analysis or some shit like that. So the kid spends all this time on transgender analysis of animal behavior. He gets a degree after 4 years, can't find a job. And he's got a $250,000 loan. When you're 17 or 18, you don't know what the fuck you want. I'm sorry. You're still in a growth period. You need advice and guidance to learn skills. So you know what you do? You tell the colleges, oh, you want me to take out a loan? Crystal will say, great, I'm not co-signing it. You co-sign the loan. So that means if Trey graduates and he's got a useless degree, Crystal has to mortgage her house to pay that $200K. Let the college mortgage themselves and pay it. What this does is college is going to say, Trey, do you really want to study transgenderism of aardvarks? Why don't you, how about you learn some calculus or some linear algebra? Because you could get a job, we need engineers. By the way, America has there's not enough people who are engineers. Or maybe we need plumbers. Trey, you can study transgenderism on your own time, but I really think you should be so the negotiations would take place. The incentive is there. So universities are graduating people actually know shit. Great idea. Simple idea. Another thing is we should eliminate all tenure in federally funded universities. Why? Because you have teachers and professors. I don't know if you know this. If you go become a professor at a university, after 7 years, you can get tenure. You never, ever have to work again. You can be the worst teacher. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can be absolutely incompetent. You get paid 100 to 300, 400K a year for doing nothing. It's a system that goes back to the 12th century in feudalism. It should be removed. You come in after 7 years, go out and get a job to all these professors. It'll eliminate this academic elitism. Okay? Every federally funded university cannot have that anymore. Again, these are very systemic policies, and they're pretty easy to pull off, by the way. Next one, make government customer friendly. Every government employee can be rated. You create a Yelp for government, every employee. Think about that. You guys go to get help and people are pricks, you can go hit them on Yelp. It's a Yelp for every government employee because these people are getting paid with your tax dollars. So you can look everyone up. Hey, wait a minute, you got like a 1-star rating. You're like a complete asshole to anyone who comes and asks you a question. Be it the IRS, be it any government agency, be it the Department of Motor Vehicles, everyone's rated and it's live. I think you'll see a very different behavior of how people serve you. It seems like government, which gets a lot of our money, doesn't have to do any customer service. So very simple thing to implement. Let's talk about healthcare. Okay. Here's a solution to healthcare. Number one, and I'll take questions after this. I don't know how many of you know that healthcare cost, our healthcare cost should be around $200 a month, and you should be able to get the best healthcare in the world. How do you do that? Well, most of you are over the age of 50 or 60 will know when you went to the doctor in the 1970s, you always paid the doctor. He was your local family doctor. He knew most of your family. And every time you went to visit him, you paid him about 25, 30 bucks per visit. And most of the family medicine practitioners could take care of 80% of the needs. Okay. you had a scratch, you cut yourself, etc. Right? So what's happened is since 1970, a lot of shit occurred in every area. But in 1970, there was a huge consolidation of or collusion between big pharma, big hospitals, and what we call big insurance. Insurance companies, big pharma companies, and big hospitals all colluded. And at the center of that collusion, again, none of the presidential candidates know about this, and we've talked about it. At the center of that collusion was people called, you want to write this down, GPOs and PBMs. GPOs were group purchasing organizations and pharmacy broker managers. Those two entities, which no one talks about. Today in 2024, there are 3 major GPOs and 3 major PBMs. Why are these people important? They control the flow of every medicine, every tablet, every catheter, every bed sheet, everything that you see in a hospital or at the CVS. They're the absolute gatekeepers. And they cranked up the price of everything. A $1 catheter or a drug called Bosentan, which sells for 12 cents, they sell it for $1,200. I don't know if you know this. They just crank up the fucking price. And they crank up the price. Insurance companies love it because you go, oh my God, if I get sick, I'm going to have to pay so much. Okay, great. So you willingly pay them a $1,200 per month insurance, right? So the price of healthcare is artificially inflated, everything. And it's because of these GPOs and PBMs over the last 20 years, they're allowed to give kickbacks to hospital administrators, kickbacks to the pharmacies. Everyone talks about big pharma, GPOs and PBMs. And all the 3 GPOs and 3 major PBMs are now subsidiaries of the 3 major insurance companies. So we have no transparency of pricing. Solution is GPOs and PBMs must be made illegal. They were made illegal. They were made legal by Congress in 2002 to be corrupt. No one saw this. It was attached to a bill. The second thing is we must support DPCs, direct primary care people. Doctors most doctors actually want to help people. There's a growing set of doctors who say, look, Doris, look, Luscious, look, Robert, just pay me $75 a month. And I will take care of everything for you. You can call me anytime, and I'm only going to take on 500 patients. Right? So that doctor's making about $500,000 a year. You have a direct relationship with him. And then for the other $125, you go get crisis care insurance in the event you need a major thing, right? And this model works. You pay out of pocket for your $75 a month. No insurance. And then you get the crisis care insurance. We are just paying way too much fucking insurance. Those guys should be blown up. They profit from high cost. You see how the racket works? They call up their GPO friends to crank up the cost of stuff. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine is a doctor. Some guy one of his patients needed a surgery. He said, look, don't come into the hospital. Just, go rent, Holiday Inn. It's just a, outpatient surgery. It's only going to cost you $3,000. Great. The hospital stepped in and said, no, you can't do that. They forced this guy to come into the hospital and get the surgery and charge him $35,000. Okay? This is a racket that's going on. The prices are inflated. Inflated prices means they justify high insurance. So I could keep going on, but you understand our movement has real solutions for healthcare. And the real solution for healthcare is boost your immune system. The immune system is at the heart of aging. It's at the heart of cancer. It's at the heart of everything. You take care of your immune system, you cover 99% of the diseases. That's why during COVID, I gave all those protocols, D3, quercetin, for free. Zelenko took my shit and bottled it. Okay? So think about what our movement's already done and why, when you look at that curve, lifespan is going down, Cost of living is going up. You must be a fucking idiot not to want to vote for us. You must be a moron to say, oh, you can't win. Shut the fuck up. That should be your answer. What are you talking about? You're talking like an adolescent. So this is why our movement is spectacularly important. And every person who understands this, and we don't need everyone to get it. We only need 3 to 5%. And it's over. And on this phone call, you have people like Nicholas Lupo. You have people like Henry Tiffany. You have people like Glenn Halls. You have people like Joanne Feaster. You have people like Chris Ellis. You have people like Jewel Munker. Okay? And I can keep going on. Doris Davish, people who are 25 years old all the way to 82 years old. Electricians to businessmen to naturopathic doctors to teachers like Rose Cias, who runs her own homeschooling. Our movement's actually bottoms up. And everyone in our movement does the work. They got us on the ballot. Less than 100K. Think about what we're doing. Think about it. Imagine what we could do with each one of you now, bringing more people to our open house, getting people over this slave mentality. Oh, you can't win. You should slap them. What are you talking about? You're talking like a fucking idiot. Win? We don't want to win. You don't win by Trump or Harris. You're going to be a fucking slave. You're going to be sucking Zionist cock all day. Is that what you want to do? Ask them that. Winning is you. Winning, as Matt Stoneman said, is you wanting to save yourself. That's why our cards say that. Save your fucking self. Now, we will teach you how to save yourself, but I'm not a savior. Neither is Crystal. Neither is Doris Davish. Neither is Pushpa. But we want you to want to save yourself. And you know what? If you want to do that, I've spent a lifetime figuring out how to shatter the swarm. And we have the tools. We have the knowledge. We have a university. We have a community, period. But if you don't want to save yourself, don't waste my fucking time. That's how you need to speak to people. Don't try to convince people who are still talking about Trump, who are trying to say, oh, you're not natural born. Shut the fuck up. You know, natural born ain't even defined, idiot. The Marquis de Lafayette was made natural born. Did you know that? No. Did you know that you could go to Africa and adopt 20 kids, bring them to the United States? They are natural born. Natural born was a term created by the British elites to make sure their elites could go all over the world, bang anyone that they wanted, and their kids would be natural born. There's where natural born comes from. It is anti-American. It is never defined. Moreover, the 14th Amendment says equal protection. All citizens are equal. So we're doing the impossible and we're winning. You need to tell people we are winning. So let me look at any other stuff. I mean, there's lots of stuff, but we have an actual platform. I wanted to thank Lynn Hale. She put it up. Oh, let me finally talk about this climate change nonsense, okay? Jill fucking Stein, the racist Zionist, the Green Party promotes this climate change bullshit. Total nonsense. Climate always changes. CO2 is a greenhouse gas. But should you turn off CO2? And don't confuse carbon with CO2. Carbon is an atom. CO2 is a molecule. And if you watch doofus Elon Musk, he's talking about, oh, we must reduce carbon. He's a fucking moron. You need CO2. Human beings came into being when we had CO2 levels. The CO2 levels are now the lowest that they've ever been in the history of the Earth, ever. They go below 100 parts per million, we're fucked, we're dead. CO2 is a good gas. And then they try to come up with this theory that CO2 increase will increase temperature. Of course, greenhouse gases will increase temperature, but the issue is how much. Their predictions, there are 100 different predictions, and each one gives a different answer. That's not evidence. So who else can explain this to anyone? And by the way, we've done a nice video that talks about this. So our movement has real answers, the real truth, and we tell you stuff at the right time. So all of you made it this far, man, you should, you're amazing people. You're smart, you get it. And when you get to a certain level of understanding, you don't need to have patience. I'm sorry, you don't need to. People respect you. You must speak, give someone one shot, but if they keep talking nonsense, you need to be a good teacher and whack them. No, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Shut the fuck up and listen. And if they don't want to listen, tell them to go on their way. And we used to have teachers like that. Very strict. They weren't coddling people. Give people one shot, not 3 strikes, one shot. And if they don't value your knowledge, tell them to get the fuck out. And that's how we're going to grow this movement. We're finding those people who don't have egos, who want to learn and want to grow themselves. We're not here to coddle people. If you want to coddle them, give them all the videos we have. So if you made it this far, tell your friends, go to Shatter the Swarm. That's kindergarten education. Step 2, we're going to support you. Become a member, free. Watch all the Get Off the Plantation video, and then become a warrior scholar. But right now, we have 11 days for this in this thing called an election, which are, by the way, selections. We have no illusions, but you have an opportunity to get on the ground, hand out those cards, meet people, go offline, meet people. Everyone knows we have these cards. Crystal, can you bring them up? And by the way, Jolanta, and we have a person who's organized that you can get 10,000 of these cards delivered to your home. Right to your home. And the cards, the front of the cards, Crystal, you bringing it up? The front of the cards have our branding, Dr.SHIVA, and it says, save yourself on the front, vote or write in. By the way, except for 4 states. And you can go to the download section, you can get it right there. And you can print them on your own or yep, right there. So that's the front of the card. It's a 3.5 by 2 inch card. Okay. And the back of the card has something very simple, and took us a long time to make it this simple. You should see the original. They're killing you. Shatter the Swarm. Lifespan is going down. Cost of living is going up. Lifespan is going down. Lifespan is going down. So if you have a child is going to have a shorter lifespan than you. And then we say, do you want to fight back? That's our slogan. I'm here. Our movement's here. But what do you want to do? If you're talking about Trump, Kamala Harris, Trump, well, you're in a very, very low state of consciousness. We'll give you opportunities to grow up. But we're going to find those people who want to be adults in the room. Crystal, click on the shop. If you go to the shop, right on top, you can order these. On the left, we found a great price through one of our volunteers who set it up. You can order them, 10,000 cards. You get them shipped to your door, included. Hand these out. And you are getting people to come shatter the swarm. You're educating people. And that's what a movement is. Thanks, Crystal. So all those people you heard of, I could keep going. They're setting a very high standard of what it means to be a citizen now. In New Jersey, we have 6 major lawsuits taking place when they threw us off the ballot. CBS News in Idaho just called me tomorrow. They're supposed to do an interview with us. They actually did a pretty good story. They said, hey, these guys are on the ballot, and it's an interesting story. So we're going to educate people. So I want to thank all of you for coming, but understand this is your opportunity to really raise your consciousness and get out of this paradigm, which is it's a slave mentality. Why would you want to be a fucking slave? I mean, I got off the plantation. My parents left India. We left the caste system. You're in America. We're in America. Why would you want to go on their fucking plantation? It's like you're willingly saying, handcuff me. All right, everyone, let's take Q&A. But Crystal, do we introduce new people? I see a lot of new people. So what we'll do is we'll introduce new people, and then we'll take Q&A. So let's start with, I see Thatiza Ryan. So by the way, when we introduce yourself, kindly let us know your name, what part of the country you're from. If in your name you can put Like you notice some people are putting Nebraska, Rose has New Jersey. You can edit your name and put what country, like Ryan says Texas, Felipe says Chile. Tatiza Ryan. So kindly introduce yourself. One of the rules I think we had, Crystal, was if you don't want to introduce yourself, we're going to put you in the waiting room, right? Because the ethos is that we do have spies, that Jill Stein probably has some spies here. Booby fucking Kennedy used to send all of his spies. But the ethos is, from an ethical standpoint, we're all very transparent. So please introduce yourself. If you're shy, just say your name, where you are, and how you came to our movement. Go ahead, Tatisa. Ryan?
I'm assuming that it's, hold on. It's Teresa Ryan.
Oh, it says.
Okay, that's fine. It's all good. I'm a newbie.
Where are you from, Teresa?
I'm from New Jersey, Mendon, New Jersey.
Oh, great.
Born and raised in Newark in a old Italian neighborhood. Very modest family, came from Italy. My background, that's my heritage. But I want to tell you, I've mentioned you to a few people that I consider intelligent and said, Dr. Shiva is onto something. He's very intelligent. He's fighting for our freedom. And they look at me like I have 6 heads. So I'm new at this, and I'm learning, and I'm so grateful. And of all the hundreds of people on this site, and you picked me out, I'm like in total awe. I'm shocked and grateful and so humbled by all of this.
Well, Teresa, it's really nice to have you. I worked for 4 years in Newark. My best friend is from the Ironbound section. She's Italian, Lorraine from Newark. So I want to introduce you. You have a bunch of New Jersey people. We have a strong team. We have thousands of people who are supporters in New Jersey. We have about 3 of them here who helped us get us on the ballot. So you should connect with them so you don't have to worry about those people who think you have 6 heads. You don't have 6 heads. Yeah. Eileen is here. Eileen, can you unmute yourself? Paul, Testa, and Rose.
Hi, Teresa. Yeah. I'm Rose in New Jersey. I'll be glad to chat with you. If you want to leave your information, your contact information, we'll get together.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, let me also introduce Eileen. Are you here? Can you say hello to Teresa? Paul? I see you guys here. Unmute yourself, please. You guys know how to use Zoom. Okay, well, Eileen and Paul are here, but they're 2 leaders. But we got on the ballot, Teresa, in New Jersey.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
Eileen.
here.
Eileen,
hi, Teresa.
Where are you from, Eileen? Just let.
Highland Park by New Brunswick.
Okay, and Rose, where are you?
I'm in Cumberland County, South Jersey.
Okay, and then Paul, where are you? Paul Testa. Where's Paul out of? Maybe you can tell Rose.
Bergen.
Paul,
okay.
He's in Camden County.
Anyway,
right.
You should. So Teresa, don't feel alone. You can connect with these great people. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I so appreciate it. I just don't. How will I connect
on the chat? Look in the chat, and Crystal's going to connect you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Well, very good to have you.
Thanks.
But anyway, that's Teresa Ryan. So to those of you listening, we have leaders all over the place. So a lot of people, when they start coming to these conclusions, they feel initially like no one gets them. This is why it's important to have a community, and we've created that. Let's go over to Lashes Bella. Can you unmute yourself? Lashish Bella. There's an unmute.
Hi. Hi,
Lashish. Where are you from? Am I pronouncing
Hi,
it?
I'm in. Hi, I'm in Florida, Broward County, and my name is Bella, and my company name is Lashes Bella. So.
Oh, okay.
That's why it showed up like that. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. I'm going to also bring Nicholas on, because Nicholas is a regional leader for all South. Is Nicholas here?
Yes, I'm here, Dr. Shiva.
Yeah, go ahead, Nicholas. So you should probably connect with Lash.
Okay, hi, Nicholas.
I'm sorry, Bella. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to us.
Sure. I've been studying natural law, contract law. I've known about the Zionist, part of I have Lebanese in my family, so I knew a long time ago what was going on in Israel. And then I just saw all the injustice and the corruption and the, how because the Federal Reserve prints the money, they buy off everyone and everything, like you said. And then I saw you on Mike Adams. I had seen you before, but I saw you on Mike Adams and recently on the Health Ranger, and I followed your website, and that's how I'm here now.
Good to have you, Bella. So I'm going to make sure Nicholas connects you up, because Nicholas has done a great job. He's got Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, that whole southern region. We'll connect you up to Florida. Okay, good to have you. And I think they'll connect with you on chat. So keep a message on chat. They'll reach out to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and go through the Truth for Health Warrior program, because you'll learn a lot, and it's a really good program. Let's go over to Elliot McGee. Elliot, how are you? Elliot.
Hey,
McGee.
Dr. Shiva, how you doing?
Hi, Elliot. Are you in California?
I am. Yeah, actually, I just helped you get on the ballot, I think, with Crystal and for Monterey County. So.
Oh, great. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved. If it's
I first, let me close this door real quick. I first got a lot of exposure to you during the COVID crisis and all the manipulation tactics they were doing, and just you really cut through all the nonsense, and made it very clear, from the system science perspective, which a lot of people just do not take the time, to look into. So very inspiring. And then I need the world to have them shed light on you to hold them to a higher standard. It's like politicians just are not, they're just talking the talk. They wear a suit and they smile, and they will tell you anything you want to hear, pretty much. So there needs to be a paradigm shift in that, and just more people need to be more informed. Like, people used to read newspapers, and it's so frustrating having a conversation, with family members with the best of intentions. And you've done a great way where they'll still go crazy, but I can hold my tongue and actually have some valid talking points that just, none of their stuff holds up to scrutiny. So it's really easy to poke holes through, but you have to do it eloquently, or else they're not very receptive, unfortunately. And I'm trying to get more exposure to you, so I'll be doing that more.
Elliot, the key thing we're doing is not only are we exposing the truth, but then we're also telling people, do they want to walk the walk, right? We're giving people something to do. Hey, you can hand out these cards. You can go do this very particular task. So on social media, people think being on social media, you're doing something. But here's an election coming. All these people claim that they're anti-Zionist. Will go crickets when you say, why don't you endorse us? You say? So it's a way to separate the wheat from the chaff. The other thing I just want to let everyone know is, I don't know if Jill Jones is here, but Jill, I think Crystal, Maria, the fact that we got on the ballot, even as a write-in in California, is extraordinary. I don't think there are very few write-in candidates in California. It's very hard to do. One of the biggest ballot scholars said he was blown away when he found out we got on the ballot. I mean, we had to get 108, 2 pairs of 59 electors. It was down to the wire. Again, no money, just hard work. So Elliot, I know, thanks for being part of that, but we're on the ballot. People can write us in and our votes will be counted. And every person who votes and writes us in, that's a very high state of consciousness individual. Huge. Even if we get 10,000, 100,000 people, man, that means we've really shifted the the consciousness there. Thanks, Elliot. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Let's go over to Sylvia Castangue. Sylvia, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm near Ottawa, the nation's capital.
Oh, okay.
I used to be an executive assistant in the federal government. I saw and I heard all kinds of stuff, but I came across you during the pandemic as well, and I knew the federal government was going to force us to vaccinate, and I refused it, and my family rejected me. My brother, I like right now, my husband is asking me to divorce. I've been married for 39 years, and I thought voting was a good and honorable thing to do, but now I see the light. And you are reassuring, and I was just flabbergasted. I was thinking, how is the Dr. Shiva ever going to get elected? And like I have a hard time to forecast and see how you're going to be able to get into that huge mess up there. Like, how are you going to? And from Canada, what can I do? What can we do? Like, my life is crumbling right now, and I just don't know where to turn. During the pandemic, I almost killed myself, but I'm glad I found you, and I actually went to Ixtapa, Mexico, during the pandemic. They refused me to get on the flights here. WestJet did, and then I ended up just going to the Aero Mexico door at the airport in Toronto, and I exited the country. And I came back 2 months later, but right now, like, I just don't know. Is there a team here in Canada that we can work together?
Yes. Yeah. So Glenn Halls is our leader in Canada. Glenn, say hello. So we have a very vibrant team in Canada.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. Hello.
Yeah, good to meet you. We have a team, and we're organizing. To answer your question, the answer is to build a bottoms-up movement, like bottom line, and that's what we're doing, brick by brick. There's a lot of us. We're getting organized, and we'll get you started handing out cards. We have some people in
Canada?
Quebec. Well, heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have
Right.
every.
I'll
province
go deliver one at the Prime Minister's office. I swear to God, I know exactly where it is.
Well, we got
So
Marlene
Sylvia,
on the call. Sorry, Dr. Shiva, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sylvia. Right now, look at your chat. Glenn will connect with you.
Yes,
And
I
part
just
of the
said hi
reason
to
we
him.
hold these open houses is to let people know, like we just spoke to Teresa, there are people here. We're very well organized. Glenn has a very nice infrastructure there. But one of the things we want to emphasize is that you have to go through this program, and through osmosis and really participating, so you'll really start to understand what is a movement. It is a word that's overused, but people don't understand what's fully a movement. A movement, it means that you are off the plantation. You're not relying on them for anything. And when you get off the plantation, you won't say, well, you'll start asking very different questions, because a lot of people say, oh, what do you think Trump will do? What do you think blah will do? We don't give a fuck what they do. It doesn't matter what the fuck they do. The issue is, what are we going to do? In fact, what are you going to do? You know, our heroes are Glenn Halls. Our heroes are Crystal Ellis. Our heroes are, Matt Morovich, right?
Yeah.
Our heroes are not them. So we have to twist this whole brainwashing. And that's what a movement is. But good to have you. Glenn will connect with you, and he'll put you on. We actually have a recipe. First, watch Shatter the Swarm. Go through this course. Then go through Truth, Freedom, and Health. Get on the ground. It is literally a university we've created for revolution in a very powerful systemic way. So here, the revolution is in your consciousness. Okay? Good to have you. Let me go to the next page here. I see Nick Avanes. Nick, how are you? Nick Avanes?
Yes, doctor. Do you hear me?
Yes, Nick. Where are you out of?
Yes, I'm in Southern California.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, and I am one of the electors right now.
Oh, good to have you. I'm glad.
The next day, I voted for you. Of course, I was approached by Jill Jones, and he guided me to become elector. And then the next day, I voted for you. And when I went to the branch to vote it, I didn't see your name. So there was an empty space. I added your name as a president.
Fantastic. Yeah. And because you're an elector, by the way, everyone knows in the United States we have an electoral college. We have to get 108 electors like you, and our votes will now be counted. So that's great. Yeah. So we always have an uphill battle, but that's okay. People have to learn to write in our name, and they have to be counted by law. And those ballots, when they're written in, will be hand counted. And then we can also file FOIAs. Meaning Freedom of Information Act, to find out exactly how many were filed for us. But good to have you.
Okay.
Yes. Let's go over to someone by the name of JL, J space L, JL. Hi, JL. How are you?
Okay.
Good. Where are you from? Can you introduce yourself and how you came across us?
Oh, I've been here many times. So I'm from California.
Oh, okay. So do you know Jill Jones and everyone there?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good to have you. Let's go to Miriam from Concord, Massachusetts. Miriam, let me bring Sandy here. Miriam from Concord, Massachusetts.
Hi there. I'm sorry, I was expecting to be called on, but I'm a little bit sick and it hurts to talk.
Oh, okay. Sorry to hear that.
Yes, thank you.
We don't want you to stress yourself out then.
Okay, thanks.
But it's good to have you. I'm going to just introduce Sandy Garofano here. Sandy, I live over in Belmont. You're just 2 towns over. Sandy lives a little north of you, but she's one of our leaders here in Massachusetts. Sandy, do you want to just say hello to Marian and maybe you can connect with her? Marian, Crystal will send you a message and she'll give you Sandy's access. You guys can connect.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sandy, are you here? Do you want to just say hello? Sandy Garofano, where's Sandy? Sandy or Ken Fielding? Ken, are you here? Where did Sandy go? I just saw her here. Sandy Garofano. So we'll connect you up or Jason Long will call you, okay? All right, let's go to Linda McConey. Linda McConey. Linda, how are you? If you're on phone, you hit *6 to unmute yourself. Linda McConey. Okay, let's go to Dennis Williamson from Nevada. Dennis Williamson. Can you unmute yourself kindly, Dennis? Dennis Williamson. Dennis Williamson. Nevada, Dennis Williamson. Okay, let's go to, oh, go ahead.
He just has issues with his audio sometimes.
Okay, let's go to Naveen G. Naveen G. Naveen, can you unmute yourself, please, and introduce yourself? To anyone who just joined, part of what we do is we introduce new people. If you can just introduce yourself. Sandy, I don't know if you can see the unmute. If you can say hello to Miriam. Okay. Michael Ortiz. Michael Ortiz, you've been texting away. Can you introduce yourself, Michael?
Okay.
Hey, Michael,
Yeah,
how are
can you hear?
Yep, you're from California?
Yeah, from California. Yep.
Okay, have you met with Jill Jones?
No, I don't think I've met with Jill Jones.
Okay, how'd you come across us? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I remember you guys for a while, for quite some years, on the internet and everything, and the website and the movement of the truth, freedom, and health. And it was always very good. I thought you guys are really good from India, and all of the inventions. It's amazing, very good. But I've been doing other things, living my life, working and stuff. But it's good I want a community to connect with some people because I've been doing like activism on on BitChute and posting comments on there, like helping out, helping Trump or helping not just Trump but like posting comments on there to help the individual bit shooters or YouTubers to help people with positive ideas.
Great. Miriam says, I was thrilled to see on the ballot in Massachusetts. I got you 2 voters in California. Great. Well, good to have you, Michael. I think we'll connect you with Jill Jones. Jill is here. She's our leader, one of our 2 leaders in California.
Okay.
She's the one who helped us get on the ballot there. So Jill is here. So Jill, can you connect up with, I don't know if Jill may be taking care of her kids too, because she.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm feeding a child, but yeah,
Okay.
we can connect. Hello, I'm Jill Jones. I'm here in California. If yeah, pass on your information to one of the hosts, and then I will get it and connect with you.
I'm not that good with the Zoom program yet, but I'm like learning it.
Yeah, just look in the chat. Well, you've been chatting away, Michael. You seem to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I found out how to use the chat. Yeah, it is very good.
Yeah, so look on that, and they'll connect with you. Great.
Okay.
Let's go to Joe Chanan. I maybe not saying your name right. Joe Kanan Amaru Giali. Joe Kanan, can you JOCHANON? Can you unmute and introduce yourself? Joe Kanan.
Yes, greetings. How are you?
Oh, good. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am from Tennessee. I have actually been in the behavioral health industry for about 9 years now. I learned about you several years back. Was very impressed with some of the things that you had brought up or had created with regards to the systems. I was definitely impressed with the fact that you invented email. I think that was something that's a little known fact that a lot of people are not aware of or weren't aware of until you actually had to promote that to make sure you had received your credit for that. So I thought that was good. But I'm here today because I saw an ad on Twitter. And so I said, I want to, see what this is about and things like that. But I definitely am interested in taking some of the courses that are on the website and things like that. And I'm definitely interested in this movement. We do need independent thinkers, free thinkers. We need people to, increase their level of consciousness, with regards to our own abilities, right? Because you have a lot of people out here that are heavily codependent on so many others out here. And we're forgetting the fact that we were also born with a level of intelligence and genius within our own selves. So I'm definitely excited about that. And, excited about you running for president this time around. I remember you were running for U.S. Senate in Massachusetts. So it's good to know that you're, in the race as well.
How do I pronounce your name? Can you say it again?
Yes, it's Yakinen Amaru Ashieli.
Okay, Yakinen. Okay. Yakinen, you're going to have a really good friend there, Nicholas. Nicholas is right in Tennessee, too.
What's up?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Where you live at? Where you at?
I live in Nashville as well.
Oh, perfect. That's what I like to hear, man. I'm gonna message you in the chat and we can connect offline, all right?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
All right.
Yeah, so y'all can connect with Nicholas. Nicholas gone through the whole program. He studied it very, very seamlessly, but more importantly, Nicholas is a really good ground activist and he's worked his way up. He helped us get on the ballot in Tennessee. They threw us off and now Nicholas is fighting a federal lawsuit there. He's learned how to file the lawsuit and then he got us on the ballot in Kentucky too. And they throw us off there. But you're going to have a good, mentor slash person right on the ground there. So I think it's pretty fortunate that Nicholas is there.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for calling on me to speak.
Yeah. Well, nice to have you. I'm glad you're here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Shiva.
Yep. Let's go over to, we said hello to Nick. Very, very cool. Interesting group today from all over. So we have Alte Dogru. I think I met Alte before from Michigan. Alte Dogru. Alte, can you introduce yourself? Alte Dogru. Okay. Let's see. We have Sonia, Barbara, Delio, Bob Workman. Okay, is anyone new who, I have a decent memory, but sometimes I forget people. Anyone new, please raise your hand. There's a little reactions button. Raise your hand so we can recognize new people, and then we're going to go to Q&A. But we want to make sure everyone who's new has a chance to say hello. Patricia Torello. Patricia, do you want to introduce yourself?
I've been on before, Dr. Shiva. I'm one of your electors. Good evening, everyone.
Oh, good. Good to have you. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me. Love you guys.
Patricia, what state are you an elector in?
Huh? In Bridgeport, Connecticut, but I
Oh,
never.
yes, I remember now. I remember.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great to have you. Yep.
Yep. Still here with you guys.
Great to have you.
Yep, love and light.
Let's go to Cameron in Flagstaff. Cameron in Flagstaff. Cameron, go ahead, Cameron.
Hi, Dr. Shiva. I'm been here for a while, here every week, and happy to be here and handing out cards. Yeah, just I'm here.
And obviously you connect with Marianne and Joanne, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, Marianne, to those of you who have friends and family in Arizona, let them know we have a very strong group that's really emerged out of a lot of hard work from Marianne. Marianne and Joanne actually came out to Cambridge to go through the Systems Health program. So it's great. Good to have you. Let's open it up to Q&A, unless, Crystal, you're seeing some people I've missed. Any questions, Q&A? We wanted to really, and Trey, if you're here, if you see any Q&A on social media, you can post it here, Trey, or you can jump in here. But we are, to all of you on social media, welcome. This is our town hall. Every Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. we host our town hall. The advantage of coming to the town hall is you get to ask questions, you get to meet people, you get connected. But those of you listening, you can go to also shivaforpresident.com and go to the volunteer page, because on Saturday we have a big volunteer meeting. There's only, again, 11 days left. So we want to get as many people on the ground. On the ground is the most important thing to do. The future is offline. You're meeting people, connecting with them. And we've created a way that you can do that. You can learn to do that. Initially, maybe intimidating for some people, but we've made it really easy with these little cards you can hand out to people. So let's go to Jonathan.
Dr. Shiva,
Yep.
sorry to interrupt. We have a Nancy
Okay, I'm sorry.
who's new, who's in the chat that wants to introduce herself and or ask a question. I have to go find her. She doesn't know how to raise her hand.
Oh, can she just put it in the chat?
Yeah, Nancy, maybe you can. Oh, I think I found her.
Yeah, there she is, Nancy in North Carolina. I think Sonia Fredericks is here.
Hi,
Yep.
yes, thank you.
Hi,
No,
hi, Nancy. How are you? Do you know Sonia?
No, no.
Oh, okay. Let's.
A message in there for you.
Who's that?
Okay.
Hold on.
And I have to admit, I've used Zoom many times before. I do not see the hand raised. So, thanks, Crystal. But yes, I'm in North Carolina, and I recently saw you on Mike Adams, breakdown.com, with the Health Ranger. And I joined because I was interested, and everything you said seemed right on target. I'm very, very concerned. I think it's taken a long time for us to get here, and things have gone so wrong. So my question, I had a couple questions, because if they control the voting boxes, how is that going to be overcome? Number one, it's very concerning. I mean, even Tina Peters, who was trying to fight that, they put her in prison. So just your thoughts, Dr. Shiva.
Yeah, first of all, good to have you. I think you should connect with Sonia Fredericks, who got us on the ballot there, okay? As a write-in. It was not easy to do that. But okay, so let me answer your question. So first of all, as you know, in 2020, I was the one who exposed the fact on how they manipulate the voting machines, right? Then we also exposed how they don't really do signature verification well, which is for the mail-in ballots.
Right.
So that's another variable they have. But what we have been educating people on as a part of running for president is that if you think about getting elected as a process, right? The first process is you have to get visibility. Does that make sense? Like people even know you're running.
Yes.
The second process is then you have to get on the ballot. Okay, which means you have to get signatures, like we had to do in every state. Then the third thing is, will you get to debate your opponents? Okay, and then you have to get on the ground and you have to let people know, and so they can vote for you. Okay, and then if they vote for you and you win the election and you're not part of the inside system, that's what happened in Massachusetts. We won that election, they flipped the voting machines. You see? So I was focused in 2020 on exposing the downstream process. Does that make sense, Nancy?
Yes, yes.
But what we have uncovered very clearly now is that the getting on the ballot is where they control everything, and who gets visibility when an election starts. I mean, we got our message out to 500 million people, okay, in 2020. And everyone knows about us. We're like the big elephant in the room, but they don't even want to mention our name. It's too dangerous. And then when we attempted to get on the ballot, we followed all their rules and we did get on the ballot. And then they find ways to throw us off the ballot. So in New Jersey, Kamala Harris filed a lawsuit to throw us off, and Trump had one of his minions do that in Wisconsin. You see? Because they don't want us on these ballots. But nonetheless, just like 2020, where we exposed all that, in 2024, we're exposing this. But by throwing ourselves in the hat, we know they're cheaters. We are fighting in the arena, but out of this, now we have a lawsuit that's gone up to the Supreme Court on who is second-class citizens, right? So by jumping in and fighting, especially if people are honest and real like ourselves, we uncover real issues. Does that make sense, Nancy? And that's the victory. We meet people like you. We meet people like, anyone here, Sylvia, right? Wayne and Dustin. You see what I'm saying? People who are out there in their homes feeling helpless say, wait a minute, this guy sounds good. This movement is cool. I'm not alone. And that gives us an opportunity to connect and build a movement. And every person who comes to our movement, Nancy, and who goes through this process, the victory of that is immeasurable. Does that make sense? It's invaluable.
Yes.
I mean, look what we did with Mike Adams. We'll see if he follows through. I've been hammering Mike. He talks about he's a Christian and this and this and this. Well, finally, we got him to say, right? Because I'm running for president, he's forced to now look at an alternative choice. You say?
Yes.
That he could have the excuse to say, oh, I got to vote for the lesser of two evils, right?
Well, I think personally, just another moment of your time, and then I'll let you go on with the others. I think personally, many people have woken up to know that they have to take responsibility. There's no one person that we should ever rely on. Everyone should be accountable, but I think people have been busy working, thinking we're paying these people in Congress to do their job. And oh my God, it's like they've been destroying the Constitution and now targeting Americans, and it's very concerning. But yeah, so I'm back to I understand that, yeah, this is a good thing. People do have to start saying, hey, we need to all be involved. We have a responsibility because we see what happens if we don't. But they control the machines, the paper. They even had recently said that they don't have to recognize the Electoral College. And now they can use the military against anyone who speaks up against them. So again, I'm very concerned. But
yeah, so you should take that concern now, Nancy, and connect with Sonia.
Yeah. I don't know how.
We actually have a recipe for success. You say?
Mm-hmm.
The first step is for you to understand how the few control the many. So if you haven't seen Shatter the Swarm, start there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then go. We consolidated literally a course. It's called Get Off the Plantation, which will teach you the dynamics of how they do all this. And then, and you don't have to, by the way, you don't have to go through this model. You can just jump right to and become a truth, freedom, health warrior. Okay. Because it took me years to organize the content, figure it out, and then you get on the ground. Right now, you should connect with Sonia. We have people all over North Carolina, even in the midst of all the stuff that happened to Helene, they're out there handing out cards, door to door.
Right. And you did mention about the little money that they directed to North Carolina, but personally, I don't think any of those people would ever see a dime. That the money seems to always get redirected elsewhere.
Yeah, it's probably a bunch of corrupt people get it, contractors, whoever gets it. Yeah. But the issue is they can do whatever they want, Nancy, but we have people in North Carolina you can connect with.
Okay.
You can take action by getting out there.
Yeah, I used to be, in charge of all the local, you know, elections here as far as one of the primary judges. But last few years they asked me and I said no, because it just, it seemed like they have their selection going on. And there's an awful lot of work that goes into doing that. But yeah, but I guess we all need to stay involved. Thank you.
Yeah. So Nancy, get involved.
Yeah.
Crystal on the chat will connect with you. You can see
Okay.
the chat, right?
Yes.
Crystal will connect you with, or if she'll get your information, connect you with Sonia. Okay.
Okay.
Sonia's amazing. She's a very vibrant woman, an entrepreneur there. She went to school for engineering, right? She runs her own business.
Oh, so did I.
Okay,
As
so
far as went for engineering. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, great. Oh, so you and Sonia will connect.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Good to have you. Anyone else, Crystal, we've missed?
There's a lot of new people in the chat.
That were
I don't know if they just can't raise their hand. There's another person from Tennessee.
Oh, what's their name?
Michael Mayo.
Michael Mayo.
And then there's Margaret Bailey, and I don't know if you already spoke to her.
I think we've spoken to Margaret before. But Michael Mayo, Nicholas, can you connect directly with Michael?
I got his.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I messaged him in the chat.
Well, let's go to Ryan. I'm sorry, we're supposed to go to Nicholas and Jonathan S. and Nicholas. Go ahead, Jonathan S. and Nicholas. Go ahead, guys.
Hello. Whoops, go back.
Say hello.
How are you?
Say hello.
Yes.
I can talk.
I'm Nicholas. I'm one of the reps in Michigan, not electors.
But it's Jonathan.
Jonathan's my friend from 10 years ago. We met in Nebraska. We were working in Nebraska and we met. That's how we've known him for 10 years. My friend Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan. So, Jonathan, are you in Nebraska? Or are you in where?
I'm in Michigan right now until Saturday, but yeah, I live in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, so do you know Crystal?
I don't think so.
Okay, Crystal's right in Omaha. Nicholas, can you give Jonathan's information to Crystal so they can connect?
Yes, we can do that.
Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you want to share. Go ahead.
So I mean, I guess I'm from Nebraska, kind of. I've disenfranchised with politics in general, with the country. I've been that way for a while. So my friends are big into you, and that's how I heard about you. So yeah.
Well, it's good to have you. You have a good friend there, Nicholas, and I think you and Crystal would connect. She's, she's got a whole community that she's developed there. She's right in the heart of Omaha. So I hope you two get a chance to connect and you go through the Warrior program.
Sounds good.
Yep, good to have you. What do you do, Jonathan, in Nebraska?
I pay life insurance claims.
I see. All right. Well, good to have you. Let's go over to Ryan and then we'll wrap up with Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Shiva. A couple of questions here. And Jonathan, welcome. I'm from Council Bluffs. So you got a good person to connect with in Crystal. So welcome. One question, Dr. Shiva. And we put the transgenderism and aardvarks on the policy page. And right next to that, the master's degrees are Jill Stein, Trump, and Kamala have master's degrees in the transgenderism of aardvarks. If we can put that on the policies page, I think it'd be a great idea. And then question on the weapons of K through 12. Maybe you went through this and I didn't catch it, but I was just seeing like what the approach, the systems engineering approach to that, like how that would be implemented into the schools. Is it through the public schools and how that process would?
Well, there are countries like Switzerland which have very low crime rates, right? That educate people on just as a public duty, you teach people how to use arms. It's just part of, many societies have had this. So what that says is that should be part of public education. You learn how to, properly use weapons and how to train people, and you actually end up having lower crime in those rates, and people actually learn some discipline. And there's, people would have to develop those programs locally, but you're basically, look, the ultimate goal, the long-term goal in all of this is there was never supposed to be a standing army. There were never supposed to be a standing police force. In local communities, people were supposed to be their own police force. People were supposed to manage their own enforcement. And whenever, if you notice in any town, wherever you have police, they're all corrupt always. But a proper model of enforcement or security, reducing crime, is where the citizens are actually involved in the activities of enforcement. And this is how societies used to be. So people earn weapons, there's a local weapons warehouse, people learn, and there's some rotation. So one day Nicholas for a week as a public service, or Matt, you would serve as a local police force, right? And you rotate in. So when everyone is ultimately armed and does know that the value of this has become sort of a systemic thing, the government cannot screw with you. Whenever you see people disarming the masses, that's when you know it's going to head to fascism. If you look at any revolutionary movement, they arm people and they come to power, and then they disarm the masses. But here we're saying, like, this is no big deal. People should be properly armed. People should be trained, and you should have, as a civic duty, people participate in law enforcement. The simple version of that is neighborhood watch programs, right? People in their neighborhoods, make sure everyone's taken care of. Most villages in traditional cultures, that's how it worked. You didn't need a standing army, a standing police force. And you had the lowest crimes in many, many of these cultures. So does that answer your question, Ryan? That's what that means. Okay, let's go over to Jason in California.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Shiva.
How are you?
Hi. Doing pretty good. Couple questions about the policies. I'd like to see no property tax, and would you have some relief plan for the victimized the citizens who invest in their Bitcoin, what you call it, Bitcoin, and then and they lost their life-saving monies. Would you have some plan for relieve them?
So one thing you're saying is property tax, and the other is those people go invest in Bitcoin and they lose their money?
Yeah, the working people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what policy would you like to see on the Bitcoin?
Well, if they lost money, would you sort of have a relief plan? Help them out?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, and then give them some, give the money back or something,
Well, it's like people go play casinos,
Yeah.
Most people, these are highly volatile investments, you see? So it's an interesting question. When people go make investments, look, the reality is, I have a friend who's done very, very well with investments. He says 90% of people lose money in any investments they make. It is very difficult to make money doing investment in anything. You have to really understand the dynamics. You have to follow it. There's only very few people who make money at doing any of this. It's like going to the casino. So I think what it would be rather interesting to do is to educate people on what I just said, on the dynamics of investment and the dynamics of going to the casino. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's what needs to be done. You need to give people proper education on how many people actually invest and make money, or maybe give people courses on investment. You see?
Yeah. But
I don't think most people.
During the past few years, people had some kind of a thing, there will be no more paper money. We need to go to the digital money, or that some innocent people got into it and they lost money. That's what I was mentioning,
Right, but a lot of people do investment, Jason. They get involved even though they're innocent, because they're looking to think that they can make it. Look, a lot of innocent people during the pandemic sold their property, sold their real estate. And because the elites know when to buy low and when to sell
Right.
high.
Right.
So all 90% of Wall Street is insider trading. Okay? The people are making money, either they know what's going to happen or they're very diligent investors. They're sophisticated investors. So I think what should happen is people like your friends or others who've gone through this, the broad education needs to be taught to them, like what is investment? It should be taught like at high school level, kindergarten level. So when people go put their money in, they're understanding that the chance of them making money through investments is a very, very low probability, unless they're very smart investors in the long term. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most people who try to
Yeah.
do investment and don't do it professionally lose money.
Yep.
So I think I think what I would suggest as a policy would be to educate people on investment.
Okay.
There's different kinds of investment, right?
Yeah.
There's long-term, short-term, currency, right? And there's
I don't know
different.
much about it.
Well, what I'm saying is I think that's what most of the world runs on, the movement of money. $600 trillion move through the world every day, every microsecond.
Mhm.
And the number of people actually know what investments are and how they operate are very, very little. So these people take advantage of people because they can say, oh yeah, now everyone should put money into the .com companies. Everyone now put money into Bitcoin. Everyone do this. And hard-earned people who work very hard, they are trying to, make money sooner, faster, right? So I think people just need to understand how investments work.
And then about the no property tax, meaning a lot of people lose their own property homes. We're talking about the one home because the property tax is high when
Yeah,
they hit the senior age.
I think this is a very interesting point you're bringing up, because you think when you buy your property, it is yours, and you find out you're actually renting it from the government. Even though
Exactly.
you're paying for your property, it's not yours.
Right.
And the government may not, you're already paying water taxes. I never understood why. I think property tax, I mean, I live in a place, I don't, let's say, have kids, but I pay a huge amount for property tax, which goes to the local school. And they just put another 300 million bucks into the school. Why? Right? I have 2 dogs. Can I send them to school? I don't know. I don't get to use the school resources for that. My point is, I think there has to be a way that property tax can be opted in and opted out of. Or the property tax that you're supposed to pay, you can diversify that if you're not using it. You see what I'm saying? This comes down to general tax, but it's an important point. Nancy says property tax is against the Constitution. It probably is.
Yep.
Yeah.
They said it. They put the property taxes so people were never on. That was said by a deep state guys,
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So let me update it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good ideas. Thank you,
welcome.
Justin. But anyway, I think property tax is a good one to eliminate that. But the other thing is to educate people on it. How, what is investment? Let's go to Denise Williamson or Dennis. Go ahead, Dennis. Hopefully you can unmute. Dennis?
Yes.
Oh, good to have you, Dennis.
Hear
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Dennis in Reno, Nevada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been following you. I've been following you for 6 months, and I've been on the Thursday chats. Anyways, my question, I did get signatures for 4 counties here in northern Nevada, July 5th, and basically there was interference. Washoe County wouldn't even accept my signatures I collected for you. But anyways, you made a mention 2 weeks ago that Nevada, Hawaii, and 2 other states, we cannot write in Dr.SHIVA for president. What are we supposed to do in these 4 states right now
Yeah, let me bring in Crystal. Crystal, I
Yep,
don't know. Rebecca's here. Go ahead. You want to answer that, Crystal?
Nevada never allows write-ins ever for anyone ever. So the best thing I would do is to continue to hand out flyers or just shatter the swarm cards, which
Okay.
we were doing before we were running. Because the shatter the swarm cards are really great. They have the QR code on it. You can still watch the video. It still leads you back to a couple different websites, and the flyers do as well.
Okay. I understand that, but who do we vote for November 5th? We
Oh.
can't write in Dr.SHIVA, so
They don't even
don't
have a
vote at
write-in
all?
area. I know people were saying that there's not even a write-in area, but
Right. So
you
who do
could
we
still-
vote for?
you
Just
can
leave
still
it blank?
make your own circle and write in Dr.SHIVA. I
Yeah.
think I've seen somebody do that, and they actually wrote something at the top of their ballot too. I'll have to look for that picture and remember what it was that they wrote at the top, but it was interesting. So
Okay.
Yeah, I
there.
think that's an interesting idea, because what happens is, because I looked at all the ballot processing when I did all the work for the Senate, if any streak, anything's on there, it gets kicked out, okay? And they still have to count it, okay? And it's put into a different category. So you could, like Crystal said, you could X out everything, and you can put your own circle in and put Dr.SHIVA in. You can do that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we could file a FOIA to ask how many people did that, and they have to save them.
Okay.
So you can do that,
Yeah.
Dennis. At least you get
Yeah,
you get
100% behind you.
you get to memorialize that, So I would say do
Okay.
that for yourself. Tell others to do it, but hand out the cards regardless.
Okay. And I
Okay.
will send a picture to Joe and just my ballot.
Okay, yeah, do
All
that.
right.
Yeah, you should cross them
you.
all out and put it in, and we'll tweet it out.
Okay.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Let's go to Cameron in Flagstaff. We'll only be able
Hi,
to
Doc.
do the last two.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Shiva. Caught me a little off guard when you called on me earlier, but I'm here with my wife, Jeannie. Like I said, we've been attending your town halls for the last, 4 months religiously. We'll continue to do so. But I have one suggestion for going forward. I wondered if new people who come to the town hall can put new next to their name, so you guys don't have to work so hard to try to find out
Yeah.
who's new.
That's a great, simple idea. Ingenious.
Yeah, that came to me this week, and I wanted
No,
to
man,
share
it's a
that.
great idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
what we should do is when we start the thing, if people are not willing to do that, we should put them in the waiting room, because you do have Jill Stein sending her spies.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, I watched the podcast that you were on with, I think there were 3 comedians. I think
Oh yeah.
and it said it was uploaded 3 days ago. So I watched it last night. It was a very interesting discussion. And the one African-American guy that came on, I believe his name was John, seemed to see things through a very a racial lens, black, white supremacists. And what's that? Oh, okay. So yeah, so I just, my understanding is we're all slaves on the globalist plantation. This whole race thing really divides us. And then I have more in common with that guy than I do with a Trump or any other elites. So
Yeah, that's why I want to do a longer conversation with them. So the race issue is a very important issue. And we haven't even dwelled into it, if we had more time. But Cameron, so if you look at, there has been, so this is what's happened with the race issue in the United States. The right wing denies that there's no racism. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what that has done is the left wing has never wanted to address the real issues of how you actually overcome racism. And the way you overcome racism is building a broad movement of all people against it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
The left wing has narrowed the discussion on racism to some, what would you say, some cosmetic things you do, okay? Don't use the N-word, okay? Don't use the N-word. Oh, okay, now no one use the N-word, racism is done. or let's do affirmative action. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which has actually created greater differences between whites and blacks and people of all races. Okay. So if you acknowledge, there are people who have done discriminating by race, but you acknowledge, and this is a deeper conversation, that racial divide or dividing people by gender, dividing people by national origin, okay? Ultimately, this comes down to having to do with money, okay? Exploitation. So my dad first came here, very smart guy, chemical engineer. He did the exact same work and he would get paid 1/3 of his white counterparts. Now, who do you blame? The white guy who's getting paid more money? That's what they want you to do, okay?
Right.
But this was a systemic policy done by those who are running large organizations. Why? They're making a shitload of money off profit. They want the white guy and the brown guy fighting each other or hating each other, okay? They want the white guy thinking he's better than the brown guy or the black guy or the woman. They used to pay women, 57 cents on the dollar, right?
Right.
So when you understand this dynamic, you understand there is racism, there is sexism, there is nativism, but it is used by those in power to divide up all of us plebes. You follow?
Yes.
So therefore, this is a more sophisticated view. There is nativism, yes. So white people must say, hey, that's wrong that you're paying that brown guy 1/3. You see what I'm saying? Why are you doing that? The brown worker must connect with the white worker. And instead of saying, oh, there's no racism, I'm better than you, I deserve it. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what John was trying to express, and I didn't have he knows that something's wrong, okay? He also knows that the house slaves, like Kamala Harris or the so-called Black civil rights movement, many of them have sold him out. But I don't think John has understood that there is racism, but the way you overcome racism is not just Black power. You see?
Right. Yeah.
But it's a natural thing that happens to people who are fucked over, right?
Sure.
When the Irish came here and they were fucked over, they moved into Irish ghettos together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they created their own power bases. So ultimately what happens is when the elites divide us up, it's a very natural reaction of the oppressed group to think that the way they're going to overcome it is to unite among themselves and create a new type of nationalism. You say?
Right, right.
And that helps to a certain extent, but then it'll create a class stratification among those people, right? You'll have the wealthy Irish, like the Kennedys, right, who fucked over other poor Irish. Joe Kennedy, when they're moving booze, if the ship got too heavy, they would throw the poor Irish over the edge, okay? So what I'm saying is ultimately the issues of racism or sexism and national origin must be fought by uniting all working people. This happened with the feminist movement. Yes, women were being paid less in the workplace, but then they made it about men. They said men are evil, men are evil, men are evil. That became the bourgeois feminist movement, okay? It didn't address the fundamental issues that, wait a minute, yes, women are being paid less. We must unite with our male counterparts. They're not the fault.
Right.
They're also being exploited, you see? And so this is a much harder thing for working people to understand, but this is why our movement exists. It's a different way of looking at it. Look, don't jump to the conclusion that what the Black person is asking for is understand. There is racism. What is racism? Dividing people by race. But who creates that division is to exploit people, because caste system, it's fundamentally has to do with money. You create a philosophy saying all these dark people who live in this area are lower caste. Why? Okay, you get to clean the shit, you get to climb the coconut trees, right? You create a philosophy saying some people are less, so you justify their exploitation. You see?
Yes.
This is what Zionism is.
Right.
Zionism is racism in the service of imperialism. So the Palestinians are mongrels, they're nobody. So that we must take their land. They're nobodies, you see? You have to understand that racism, nativism, sexism, they're the foundations of imperialism. They're used for imperial power, for profit. Right? Women worked in factories for years. The women got paid sometimes half, a tenth of the man. Right? It was to make sure the women and the men did not unite. Oh, the men said, oh, I'm getting paid more. I must be better. No, you're not better. You're being fucked over too. It's separating you. Right? So white supremacy is created by the elites. They need to make sure the poor white guy thinks he's better than the black guy. When the colonialists came here, they did this. They had, I mentioned this, there's many, many wonderful papers written about this, how they would actively get the Native Americans fearful of the blacks and the white settlers. The whites, they got hating the blacks and the natives, and the blacks, and the blacks, they got hating. So this is a policy of divide and rule. And so John, in that call, he got like one half of it.
Right.
He got the big piece that there's Uncle Tom's, you say? But he's heading towards nationalism. And that's where Malcolm X was initially. The Black Muslim movement in the United States was saying, yeah, black man, we got to get a piece of the pie. We need to get a piece of the pie. Okay? Okay. But it took Malcolm X several years to learn that we're all oppressed, you see? He goes, ultimately, he said there will be a clash between the oppressed and those who do the oppressing, but it won't be based on the color of the skin. But it is very, very easy to get caught into nationalism, a cultural nationalism specifically.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
This is what MAGA was about, you see? This is what, when people run on, like, oh, vote for me, I'm Irish, you see? Vote for me, I'm Indian, you see? But that's why we have to elevate the conversation. So you have to acknowledge there's racism. If you don't acknowledge that, you're immediately, oh, there's no racism. No, there is fucking racism. But who commits the racism? Is it Nicholas Lupo, who's a hardworking guy? Is it, Anthony? No, it's the guys who own this infrastructure. They profit by racism. Okay?
Yeah.
Zionism is a weapon of imperialists to acquire the land in that region. You have to demean people. Oh, those, towel heads, those people who have no thing, right? You have to demean people, and you can say, yes, we have the right to take their land. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I don't think people have heard that definition of Zionism, racism in the service of imperialism.
Exactly. Same with Brahmanism, same with Nazism. Nazism was a racism that served Western imperialists to go and use the Aryan model to go attack Russia, to attack the Slavs and take their land. Nationalist racist philosophies are always used to justify exploitation, seizing other people's property. Oh, those are just people. They're less than us. We take their land. Even Thomas Jefferson, at a certain point, he said, we must exterminate the Native Americans. They're less than us.
Yeah. Well, my wife's Japanese American. Her parents were put in internment camps, so they experienced racism as well.
Yeah, and if you go look at World War II, it was Churchill. I mean, it's a long story, but they forced Japan's hand to attack in Pearl Harbor. Forced their hand because every year or 6 months, there was a contract renewed for the U.S. to give Japan diesel. And one day they decided to cut it off. And that's what started World War II.
Yes.
And that was done by Churchill. Okay? To sucker the U.S. into the war. So racism, I mean, you could go, it's so easy to start race wars, man.
Oh, yeah.
And so you should have to understand who is starting them. Who benefits from them.
Right.
So white people must say, yes, there is racism. And I'm going to build bridges with my black brothers because a person who's been profiting from that is this guy, and he could be a black guy.
True.
He could be an Indian guy. He could be an Irish guy, you see? But without acknowledging it, this is where the rift occurs. So you perpetuate it.
Right. Yeah.
So
I thought you gave him a lot of latitude.
well, you have to understand that he was coming from a perspective. No, his analysis of Trump was on the money, though. As a black person, I mean, come on. What the fuck? Trump is a complete fucking moron. He has been indicted. Okay, he's never actually produced anything. So John's analysis is true, but John's analysis is missing the other side. You see, Obama too was put into a position of power because he was funded. You see. So John's missing the class analysis. He got the race analysis to an extent, okay? But he should also be denouncing Kamala Harris and Obama. That's where he's letting his nationalism get in the way. You see?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So he's nailing that someone like Trump because of his wealth, and he uses his race. You see? But he also has to call out Obama. Because now we live in a multiracial aristocracy. And so that's where John needs to move. And when John moves there, he'll become a powerful leader. And that's what it took Malcolm X 20 years to move to that position. This is how, so the way they keep black people in bondage is they either get them into the Democratic wing of, affirmative action or something like that, right? Or don't use the N-word. Like when I called that black woman a house nigga, all these black people came and attacked me. Okay, she's a house slave, right? I said you don't own that word, but they're getting all upset at using the N-word. Like, just because you stop using the N-word doesn't mean racism has ended, idiot.
Right.
So the liberal elites threw people a bone, saying, "Oh, don't use the N-word. Now there's no more racism." No, the racism still exists because you haven't addressed the fundamental issues of economics. You see, so this is how the Democrats use race. With perfunctory things, you see? And then the Republicans use race by saying there is no racism. So they piss off one group, and the other group, it gets pissed off when you do like very cosmetic things. When language should be used at will, Yeah. So the analysis I've given is something that really needs to be talked about. Like in India, we talked about the invention of email. Indians are the biggest white supremacists. Brown-skinned Indians are the biggest white supremacists. May sound contradictory because they were trained by the British to think that the British were superior. So when they hear about a brown man creating email, they're the first ones to say, no, 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 no. Seriously. White working class people will defend the invention of email versus a brown Indian.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then they call the white person white supremacist when the brown guy's actually a white supremacist. So anyway, there's a lot of dynamics here. But the bottom line is that race, religion, regionalism, I mean, there's so many ways you could divide up people. Their cooking habits, what they wear, right, what they look like, are used by those in power to divide us.
Right.
So we're gonna have to have the maturity to explain this and acknowledge that they're the ones who unleash racism on us to divide us.
Yeah, and it's the oldest trick in the book: divide and conquer. It's so simple,
exactly,
and they keep using it because it keeps working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I'm saying. A man must acknowledge that a woman is being exploited because she's a woman in the workplace and say, no, that's not right. Right?
Right.
White people must say, wait a minute, you can't treat black people like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, people who are native here should say, wait a minute, it's wrong to have second-class citizenship. Dr. Shiva has been here. He took the oath of allegiance. What are you talking about? He can't run for president. You say? We're all citizens, are we not? They want to divide us. That's when people say the fundamental things, they will find 100 million ways to divide us.
Absolutely.
The British went all over Africa. There were clear tribal lines. They just randomly started drawing lines. And people are living in relative peace. They would have one tribal king suddenly starting war. Wait a minute, the British said this is our line. This is our new border. They go, no, that wasn't our border. That's never been our border for, 1,000 years. And so the British would get two tribes fighting and then go to each one and say, look, we'll help you fight. Give us all your diamond mine rights. Or, hey, give us your rights to your titanium. Racism, sexism, nativism are tools for imperialism. They're tools to divide working people up. And we cannot be deceived. This is why our movement is so important. We raise people's consciousness.
Yeah.
Cameron, so you understanding this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm saying one person understanding like this in Arizona, you get 10 people. You don't need everyone. You just need enough people with the sophisticated understanding because you can educate people. You'll speak out, you say? Oh.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Shiva.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Shiva, for having integrity and being true. I mean, I don't see how anyone can buy any of the promises from any other candidate because I just hear the word lie whenever they open their mouth. So thank you for, I'm calling you President Shiva because I think 70% of the nation really doesn't know what to do. So we're happy to hand out cards and hopefully elevate the whole mindset.
Well, look, our movement lives long after this election. And out of this election, we have found amazing people like you guys in Flagstaff, Marianne. Think about the infrastructure we've created in 9 months. It's quite extraordinary.
Yes.
And the quality of people that are coming into this movement, the quality and the depth and their passion and their compassion, their love, their intelligence, their brilliance. It's amazing. This has never occurred before. So that's what I'm saying. It's just a matter of time before we win. What you just said, the fact that we can have this conversation, right? At this level of depth of understanding, and we can all understand, oh, that makes sense. There's a billion other people who could understand this, but they want to keep us away from those billion people by distracting us onto these stupid things called their bogus elections. But because we're running even in their midst, we're able to have these conversations. Okay? So we have to keep handing out those cards long after this election. We have to keep doing open house. We have to keep building our infrastructure. And we're eventually going to win. It's just a matter of time. We've cracked the code. Watch Rapid Reform. Go get off the plantation. Go watch Truth from Health. Come to the open house. Have these conversations. It's just going to be one by one by one. It's blocking and tackling. We've cracked the code. So whoever's here, go through the Truth from Health Warrior course. Learn it. Teach it. Learn it more. Teach it. Ask yourself questions, There's a lot of depth here. And we're creating a whole new set of very different quality of people that you can't get this training at MIT. I used to teach this at MIT. You guys are getting the training that the most advanced PhDs used to get. You really are. But we're not sitting in an ivory tower. We're taking it out to people. This is what makes it revolutionary.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
We're not doing a panel at Harvard talking about this. You say that's what they would be doing. Yes, yes, yes. And then they go back to their work of exploitation. We're actually doing something about it because tomorrow you're going to go hand out cards. A Harvard professor may have this talk with an MIT professor, and then he goes back to whatever, smoking his pipe and going to Martha's Vineyard and continuing the exploitation. We're not doing that.
No.
Yep.
Well, thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Shiva.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva.
Yeah, good to have you.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Both of you. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to two more. Oops. Sophia and Sylvia. Well, let's go to Sophia, Joanne, and Sylvia. In the interest of time, it's 11 o'clock. We've been here 3 hours. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Shiva. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's the question?
So my question is, since you said that you wanted to eliminate income tax, so isn't that how the Social Security gets taken care of?
Well, this is an interesting question you're bringing up. Okay. So, I said you have a very high corporate tax, okay, which people would give. Yeah. So if you think about Social Security and a lot of the stuff that was put into place, right? to help
Yeah.
elderly people, right?
Right.
Why are people struggling so much? Okay.
Ah.
The issue is what happened to people's wages?
Yeah.
Why are wages so low? Okay. If you go to many other countries, they don't have Social Security. People have a savings and people save, right? The
Right.
average American barely has $400 in their bank account. So wages since 1970 for the first and second income quartile, Sophia, have gone down. I don't know if you know that.
Oh no, yeah.
They've
They
gone
have.
down 47 trillion. The other piece that also must be understood is that many of the unions, or people who are wealthy, they have very sophisticated investors. They have investment counselors, okay, who teach them how to manage their money, how to invest properly. You follow?
Yeah.
So most people who've done well, they're not relying on their Social Security. They're relying on for survive. That's for the large masses of people, okay? Working people who actually get screwed in the first and second income quartiles, okay? When you have a vibrant society where people are paid proper wages and they're also taught, going back to the first thing, how to invest their money, right? They're not reliant on the government. So two things have happened. Wages have gone down since 1970. If you go from 1920 to 1970, 1930 to 19, wages actually grew for the first and second income quartile with GDP. But after 1970, wages for the first and second income quartile have been going down. And when you add it all up, it's been about 47 trillion, okay? So the elites have been stealing money from working people and sending it upward. This is a real issue. Social Security was a gain of the movement of the 1900s, of working people. You should applaud the gain, okay? Many reforms came out, but they were not the actual solutions. They were band-aids, okay? The real solution is to have a very wealthy, vibrant economy, okay? Where people are being paid wages. They're doing stuff that has meaning. You see what I'm saying? That advances them. They don't want to do that. Right now, they want to dumb people down. We don't have enough trained people. And the goal is actually to get rid of people, to replace them with robots. That's where this is going.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because the way they're looking at it, shit, we have this huge Social Security and Medicare burden, okay? Let's just get rid of people. So I hope that answers your question. The goal is to grow wealth.
It answers my question.
Well, yeah, a whole strata of people are not taught anything about investment. If you are, I can't hear you.
Sorry, we don't learn it in school. No, I said we don't learn it in school.
They don't teach that. If you grow up in a very wealthy family, you learn a lot of this stuff. But if you don't know what the word diversification means. You don't know what savings mean. They don't teach this. If you want to survive in the modern world, you need to know how to invest your money properly and how to put it properly. No one teaches any of this. So
my daughter says it's called financial literacy.
Yep, and we need that. I'll add it, it's in there, but I'll add it. Thank you. Okay, let's just go to Joanne. Go ahead, Joanne. Quick question.
Joanne, can you hear me?
Yeah, Joanne, go ahead.
Oh, I'll be brief. Hey, I had fun today. I exercised my freedom of speech. I went to a Donald Trumpovich rally that was in town at the ASU Mullet Stadium. I went into the Zionist pit and I had a little rally or protest there, shouting out, "Dr.SHIVA for president, shatter the storm." And before I was arrested, I did leave the building and I tagged every car in the parking lot with these cards.
Wow, awesome, Joanne. How many
And
people?
then not only that, I've been having trouble getting hold of have you interviewed. So I decided to stand in front of their cameras and with this card.
Wow.
And sure enough, I had two microphones in my face at one point there. So I didn't get to answer some questions. It wasn't the major media, it was some bloggers, but I invited them to this meeting.
Fantastic.
That was fun. And one of the things I'd like to say that Trump keeps saying in his rallies is he keeps saying some people think we are occupied. He says it at least twice in his rallies. Of course, he's referring to illegal aliens and the occupation, but it's like the big elephant in the room. We know who is occupying us and other
Right.
countries is
Well,
Zionist Israel. Yes.
yeah, I mean, they watch everything we do. Liz Harrington is his press person.
Right.
They
Right.
They take Trump takes crib notes from what we do and tries to repeat
Yep.
it, right?
Yeah, and he brought out
bullshit.
Vivek, and he brought out I don't know, some other
Yeah, he
clowns.
brought
But
out-
anyway,
He brought out his little brown house slave.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Marco Rubio, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting. Zionist pit. But anyway, I do have some really great videos I'd like to forward.
Oh
to
yeah,
you.
give them to me. Yeah, let's put them up. Yeah, because in Arizona, people know about us.
Send
And we
them.
know
So
all the work
let's
that we
tell some-
did.
Oh my God, yeah, these were really good.
Yeah, send them. Let's send them over and we'll put them up.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where to
Yeah,
send
so
them.
what,
maybe
what
Crystal-
Joanne
yeah.
did is awesome. Everyone, if you're listening, because she's figuring out, she's innovating what to do on the ground. And if we get enough people doing that, they don't know what to do. Okay? Those little cards are a very powerful weapon. So anyone listening out there, go to Shiva for President and get those cards. And as Trey's putting it out, go to truthfreedomhealth.com. Become a warrior scholar. Go to Shiva, numeral4president.com. Thanks, Joanne. Brilliant. Brilliant work, Joanne.
you.
Very heroic stuff. Awesome. Let's go to Sylvia and we'll wrap up. Go ahead, Sylvia. What's your question?
Actually, I see you in the world stage because I don't understand how you can change the world by becoming the Prime Minister of US, because you're saying that the US is actually slave as well in a way. So I'm just trying to comprehend. And they say, like in a language, when you learn a new language, you need to know at least 1,200 words in order to launch yourself over there. So what is the tipping point for you? How long do you feel that it'll take for you to become a prime minister? When is it going to happen?
Prime Minister, or what do you mean?
I'm sorry, president, because we have a prime minister.
Let's look at it this way, okay? If you wanted to win, if you were truly an opposition force, in this case to the US elites, and you truly even wanted to win, the only way to do that, Sylvia, is you have to build a bottoms-up movement. So we win by building the bottoms-up movement. You say? The outcome could be you win in the electoral process. But that may not happen too. But you still win by building a bottoms-up movement. So, for example, they told women they weren't allowed to vote in the 1900s. In fact, women could vote in Afghanistan before they could do in America. It's quite interesting. So women started running for political office. In fact, they started running for president, even though they couldn't vote. That movement and the suffragette movement ultimately brought up the issues and women gained the right to vote, okay? But the issue was their running for office created a movement. And that movement had many, many powerful ramifications, you see? So what I'm saying is we win, and this is why it takes a little bit hard for people to understand what is a movement. You cannot put a value on the fact that nearly 100 people have been on this phone call and thousands of people are watching this for 3 hours, and the quality of discussions we've had here. I mean, you can't put a number on this, okay? So you finding another person and another person and another person, because one person who understands the concepts we're talking out here, I keep saying this is equivalent to like 1 million people who don't understand anything. So I'm saying our winning an election under their terms can only happen if we build a movement. But if we build a movement, we win anyway. All right, so it's a good way to end this, guys, because I wanted, that we titled this, What Does Victory Mean? We've gone through the policies. And if you look at our policies, the discussions we've had today, this is what I think a conscious electorate talks about. And our leaders reflect our consciousness. And those people listening out there, I know they're blown away because they've never seen this kind of discussion. You just have Trump talking about, yeah, we got to get rid of those aliens, get rid of those immigrant aliens. And then Kamala Harris heckling like an idiot, right? Talking about Trump's an idiot, right? So what, it's like idiots communicating among idiots. They don't really talk about anything significant. They didn't talk about GPOs and PBMs and mesh networks and the First Amendment and CISA and racism. Look at the conversation we've had. In the 1900s, the founders who created, these are the kinds of conversations they'd have. Go read their writings. They're amazing. So we are not here to lower our standards as a movement. We're raising standards. And if you don't want to raise your standards and you want to go suck off Trump or Kamala Harris, go for it. We don't give a fuck about you. We don't. So we win by growing our movement. We win by you guys handing out those cards. We win by what Joanne did, okay? Challenging them, okay? And finding more and more creative ways with minimal dollars to win. We win by Matt Stoneman making videos like that, okay? So here's your homework assignment. Everyone here, go become a Truth for Health warrior if you haven't. If you're one, go watch those, go through the course again. Go watch Shatter the Swarm. Invite someone else to come to our next open house. Hand out those cards. These are things you can do, action. Hand out those cards, have conversations with people. That's how we win. And we've created a very methodical way for people to walk down a path that works. And we have many, many amazing stories of that working. When I play those videos, I don't have to do all the teaching anymore. Nicholas Lupo's doing the teaching. Bazanaga's doing the teaching. Matt Stoneman is doing the teaching. You see what I'm saying? And people are if you look at what Matt shared, he's there doing his landscaping, filling in someone's blacktop while out in the hot sun. He's talking about system science. He's talking about the left and the right. I mean, think about that. This is what you call by the people. Very deep conversations while you're actually doing your work. Margaret Bailey, did you want to say something? I'm sorry, Margaret. Did we miss you? You can unmute. Oh, I'm sorry, Margaret. Go ahead. Unmute.
Sorry. Hi,
Hi, Margaret. Where are you from? Is this your first time here?
Yes, my
I'm
first
sorry,
time.
we missed you. There was another Margaret Bailey. So go ahead. Where are you from?
Oh,
Just
okay.
introduce yourself before we sign off.
Yes, I'm from River Edge, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
I just heard you from Mike Adams' show.
Okay. We're very nice
I'm
to have
his fan. Yes, likewise. So I'm gonna vote for you. But my question to you is, what do you think about the digital system?
Well, first of all, if you're on the chat, Margaret,
yes,
Crystal will reach out to you and she'll introduce you to Eileen and Rose, who's in New Jersey. What part of New Jersey are you in? Oops, did we lose her? Hello?
Oh.
Yeah, so Crystal will introduce you to some of our people in New Jersey. What part of New Jersey are you in?
River Edge in Hackensack.
Oh, Hackensack. Okay. So we'll introduce you to some people there. Yeah. So look, technology by itself, Margaret, is neither good or bad. Okay.
Okay.
Like the internet is not good or bad. The printing press wasn't good or bad, right?
Right.
Cell phones are not good or bad. Satellites are not good or bad, right?
Right.
The issue is who controls these technologies. Okay. And what is the goal of that control? So the people who founded the United States always wanted to have checks and balances. So you wouldn't have centralization and control of resources like this. So when people talk about making payments through electronic means, that's pretty cool, right?
Right.
You can really but they want to make these payments in a centralized way and then interconnect it to some social media score. So let's say they don't like you. You're saying something that the government doesn't want. Then they could stop you from using your digital currency, you see, in microseconds.
Right.
That's the control. So, and then they can control that because they own all the infrastructure. So there are certain infrastructures which need to be governed by the people, right?
Right.
So the issue is that's what I shared, that infrastructure, like sending mail, the highway systems, you could argue, right?
Right.
These should be controlled by we, the people. Right now, when you outsource it to private companies, the private companies have First Amendment rights. So if a certain currency came out and was outsourced to certain private companies, they could shut you down from using that. And the government say, oh, we can't do anything. That's a private company, you say?
Right.
So I'm saying all of these technologies are pretty powerful. The issue is robots. Yeah, robots could be pretty cool if all of them would if all of us could have one. Think about the productivity. But that's not the way the elite see robots. The way they see robots is, wow, we have too many people. They need Social Security. Let's get rid of them.
Right.
And we will reduce the population about 500 million people, and we'll have robots because we don't want these human beings. You say?
All right.
So this is why we're at an interesting point in human development. People need to understand it's not technology, it's the people who control the technology.
Right.
And that's what our movement is teaching people, and why we need to raise our consciousness. Otherwise, we're going to be screwed by these people.
That's true.
We could create heaven on earth literally on this planet overnight, literally right now. We have more than enough food. We have amazing technology, but they want to create a heaven on earth for a few people, you say, not for all of us.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, hand out our cards, get people to write in and vote us in. And this is a movement we're building. This movement existed before this election, and it's going to exist after this election. We don't stop, we keep growing.
Okay.
But everyone who votes and writes us in, Margaret, they're basically saying, I've gotten off your plantation. Okay? And that's what this is about. All right, thank you, everyone. Good evening to everyone. Best to all of you. Be the light and get involved, okay? Thank you. Be well. Crystal, I'm going to leave and you'll sign off. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva.
Who would have ever thought I'd be running for president of the United States of America? I was born a low caste untouchable in India's caste system, a system of aristocracy, oppression, and racism. My name is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. I'm an MIT PhD, a Fulbright scholar, a scientist, engineer, entrepreneur, and inventor. My family and I left India to come to America on my 7th birthday. I grew up in the working class neighborhoods of New Jersey, playing baseball, mowing lawns, painting houses, and coding software. My friends and neighbors are blacks, Italians, Irish, people of all races. As a 14-year-old, I wrote 50,000 lines of software code to create the world's first email system, and was awarded the first U.S. copyright for email, recognizing me as its official inventor at a time when copyright was the only way to protect software inventions. I did that long before I ever came to MIT, revealing that big innovations can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. Growing up, I saw politicians dividing us by race and religion in both America and India, to have us fighting each other while they remained safe in their gated communities and in their playgrounds of Hollywood, Martha's Vineyard, and Silicon Valley. I'm a fighter. I fought racism and exposed their imperialist wars, fought for workers, and put my life on the line against global corruption. I never wanted to run for political office. All that changed when I saw working Americans as never before being duped by the establishment and the not-so-obvious establishment. Across left and right, we were being sold out and made to forget why we came to America and why America existed. Lawyers, academics, billionaires, celebrities, and politicians, elites, Clintons, Kennedys, Bidens, Obamas, Bushes, black and white have hijacked America. They printed trillions for their friends. They delivered crumbling infrastructure, corruption, and racism. They've transferred trillions to themselves, dividing black and white, fear-mongering, and fake science. Lockdowns and censorship, dirty air, food, and water, pushing drugs upon us, making us sicker. We've been sold out. One set of rules for them and another for us. We deserve a warrior with a history of courage in putting everything on the line for you, who believes in you, not them, who has created a movement bottoms up for truth, freedom, health. I've exposed their lies at the right time, never waiting until it was popular. I've exposed their false gods who exist to lead you back to them. I've exposed their fake science of lockdowns and masking and provided you solutions to fight them and win and protect your immune system, saving millions. I exposed Fauci, galvanized the Fire Fauci campaign when others remained silent. When they stole our election, we sued the government and Twitter in our historic 2020 federal lawsuit, exposing in bare view the government and big tech censorship infrastructure, the unholy alliance between government and social media companies. Where was Elon and his grifters? They stood by the sidelines and did nothing. They did not use their megaphones to help us when it could have made a big difference. Now our movement grows for truth, freedom, health, independent of all of them. Every day, millions are learning the science of systems, the knowledge the elites do not want you to have, so you may learn how to think, stand up, and fight, independent of the establishment of left and right and their fake heroes. Now it's time for you to join the movement, to win back America, to win back truth, win back freedom, win back your health. That's why I'm running for President of the United States. This race is about you. This race is about truth, freedom, health versus power, profit, control. We've had enough. They think we'll fall in line and vote again for their lawyers, celebrities, billionaires, and chosen ones from above. We choose our heroes from below, from the rank and file, who do what is right at the right time, not when it's convenient and popular. They can never represent us. What America needs is a movement by the working people, for the working people, who are educated, organized, decentralized, and fight for independence from their systems of control. And that movement exists. It's ready for you. We don't need them. We need us to go bottoms up, neighbor to neighbor. My journey, your journey are all the same. It's our time. It's time we had one of us. It's time to win back truth, freedom, health, to win back America. Be part of this historic movement all the way to our victory on November 5th, 2024. If you're an American citizen, pledge your vote now for Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, the independent candidate for U.S. President. No matter where you live, you can be a part of this. Volunteer as little as 20 minutes a day. Don't delay. This is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, and I approve this message, paid for by Dr. Shiva for President. We have allowed our country to be taken over from within, and the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite working people. There's only one movement that can do that, and that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution. And that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is, the dynamics of all systems that affect nature. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Truth, freedom, health. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up. Working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers, completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is the not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is the not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing, Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. We're building a bottoms-up movement, and that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game, and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done, and it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. You know, Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote-unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these 4 concepts I've built into a curriculum where people can go to truthfreedomhelp.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people. 2 years of MIT control systems, I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it, anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. And the Senate campaign's expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on truthfreedomhelp.com, so people can sign in, they can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there, but we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to truthfreedomhelp.com.